tougher anti-America line.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to implement the toughest anti-US policy less than a month before Donald Trump takes office as US president. A video released by state media showed Kim speaking during a 5-day plenary meeting that ended Friday. North Korean media did not elaborate on the anti-US strategy, but said Kim set forth tasks to bolster military capability through defense technology and stressed the need to improve the mental toughness of North Korean soldiers. Trump's return to the White House raises prospects for high-profile diplomacy with North Korea. During his first term, Trump met Kim 3 times for talks on the North's nuclear program. I'm Nayan Kim.
The Islamic rebels who deposed Syrian strongman Bashar al-Assad say they have no ill will toward the country's religious minorities, but others apparently don't share that feeling. Townhall.com. Syria's new de facto leader says it could be years before his country can hold new elections.
Ahmed al-Shara tells Saudi television network Al Arabiya it could take up to 4 years to hold elections there. Yes, it is possible. We need a long time. Without this, the electoral process will be dishonest. Al-Shara adds he plans to dissolve his Islamist party that led the country's insurgency at an anticipated National Dialogue Summit, and that talks are ongoing with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces in northeastern Syria amid hopes that their armed forces will integrate with the Syrian security agencies. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Serbia's public prosecutor has indicted 13 people, including a former government minister, over the collapse of a concrete canopy. Killed 15 people last month. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican world radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy final Monday of the 2024 year.
Yes, sir.
It is live.
It's the final Monday. And welcome back to the captain himself, Mixmaster Mike Winters.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's nice to be back on this side of the board.
Yeah?
Forgot what the chord structure looked like for a minute.
Got your visual back.
That's right.
But
all the toys.
Thank you as always for filling in.
Of course.
I was on the Christmas break.
Honestly, one of the easiest weeks I've ever had. Come in Monday, take half the week off, pop in on Friday, make sure everything's good. So yeah.
I'm hoping this week's kind of like that too.
I think it's going to be. It's one of those last weeks, and then there's of course the pick back up because we're supposed to kind of get back into the normalcy of things the first week of January,
right?
But nobody wants to. We still. It's like that. It's like the vacation hangover.
Nothing I think will happen today, tomorrow, but maybe Friday, Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll see some time.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. As far as our shows go, we'll do a show tomorrow. No show Wednesday, and then I'll do a show Thursday.
So we will be on for tomorrow's show, but we are taking New Year's Day off.
Correct.
To recover.
Mm-hmm. So, but again, thank you for filling
Absolutely.
in. And hope, this hour we'll get to talk. I don't have any guests today, so we'll replay some interviews in the 8, 9 o'clock, but I figured we just talk vacation and all that good stuff.
Run it all down, figure out how everything went.
This we get, I'm sure I've got a few stories. I'm sure you as well. your Christmas holiday.
Honestly, I laid relatively low for the most part, but yeah, we had fun.
Good. Well, I did see some pics of the fam opening gifts and all that on social media there, and looked like the kids were very happy.
Oh yeah,
for their Christmas haul.
That's the ultimate goal. Is they don't want to kill us in our sleep for at least another 6 months,
right?
And then birthdays come around, so it's really just we're chasing the dragon, essentially, of just not having our children want to murder us in our sleep. That's all we're really trying to do.
Well, and I know going to my I went to Maryland to my brother, Virginia actually, to my brother's house. We spent Christmas with family there, and so he has two boys, 11 and 9 respectively.
Right.
So they're right on that cusp.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is the battle of the cusp discussion, and my brother is still. All is still copacetic in that household in that regard.
I see. So we're standing on the precipice of manhood.
But I don't know how many more of these Christmases before the flood, the dam breaks here.
Well, I'm gonna give you one of the most beautiful uncle gifts that one uncle can give to another, and that is the gift of learning Roblox. If you can learn what Roblox is, dude, you're in.
All right.
Because right now, yeah, girls and whatever, but Roblox. Trust me. Not roadblocks. You go in saying Roblox, they're going to roll their eyes and say whatever, and they're going to walk away from you. It's Roblox. Now, if you're going for the eye roll, here's what you do. You go into the kitchen, you grab a fork and a knife, and you walk up to him and you go, fork, knife, am I doing this right? That works every time as well.
All right.
Always a good time. Always
well,
fun.
what happens next when I don't know what to do after that?
You just walk away.
Okay, walk away.
Yeah, it's these decisions that are, am I going to be cool, uncle, or...
That's my Skeletor moment. I walk in and then, till next time, kids, and then roll out.
Because they each come with their own set of consequences. If you're cool, uncle, you're going to be called at 2 a.m. to, come pick them up and take them home if you're in the neighborhood because they don't want to deal with mom or dad. Now, if you're annoying uncle, they're going to ignore you so you get some free time, but it's lonely.
Well, the two boys are kind of polar spectrum difference in their personality.
Oh yeah.
Lou, the older of the two, is my brother's personality to a T. The manipulative, very smart, always angling for something.
He's the 9-year-old. Huh? He's the 9-year-old. You said?
No, he's the 11. He's the older.
Okay.
He's 11. He's not yet 12. Because Chris was like, "Oh, you're right, it is." Because Chris thought he's 12, and Lou was telling me he's 11. So sorry.
I'm gonna turn your wife on this early in the morning.
But so
he's probably bitter because his name is Lou.
Well, his his Lou is James.
Yeah, I know.
We call him LJ. Call him Lou. He kind of goes.
LJ works. And I bet at some point in his life he'll go by James.
Could be. Mm-hmm. Well, that would be my dad's name. So that's where the James came from. Yeah. But anyways, he's very much like my brother in that way.
That's so true.
Nathaniel, just call him Nate. Since we're going with the LJ, he's got very royal sounding names. Louis, James, and Nathaniel. but anyway,
Winthorpe.
Yeah. Well, and his middle name's Skylar, named after their college. Skylar. Go watch Hamilton. That's Skylar in there. But anyway, Nate is the polar opposite. He's he's more quiet, more reserved. He wears his heart on a sleeve kind of kid.
Gotcha.
He's more emotional, and so it's kind of different. How where Nate, I have to talk. I talk a little bit. I'll talk games, but Lou and I, it's almost a battle. Because I'm a smart aleck. He likes that smart aleck. So I outsmart aleck the smart aleck. That's usually our game between there. And he's always fighting for that angle. And it's always funny because Chris and Lou have personalities that are the same. And when they bump heads, that's when dad mode kicks in. It just makes me laugh because Lou will, and you start seeing, Lou's got him on the ropes. And when dad mode kicks in, it's like, go to your room.
So is Nate maybe more like his mom, more reserved, more?
Yeah. Nate's got more of his mother's.
Okay.
Although the kind of pouty side that Nate has, that's totally my brother too. Like when he gets defeated, and that's when he gets all emotional. But
he does wear his heart on his sleeve sometimes.
He does sometimes. He gets emotional about weird things.
It's. I'm not saying funny, but it's interesting when you're around those people to just kind of observe what they'll take.
Yeah.
It sort of came up with my son over the week. We were at a holiday party, and Misty's stepdaughter Allie, just to see what would happen, was talking to my son Hunter and called him Henry. Or I said, "Hi, Henry," and he goes, "Hi," and she goes, "That's not your name, is it, Hunter?" He goes, "That's okay. Things happen."
Oh,
He rolled with the punches. I was like, "Are you seriously? How old are you? Are you 6? What the heck? You know, it doesn't make sense to me."
I think it depends on who does it.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have given.
Oh, I couldn't. No. He'd have
Absolutely.
nonstop got. Yeah. How dare you, Dad? But
their mom is a New Yorker.
Okay.
And she does
Italian.
have that Italian New Yorker, and she does have that personality. I don't see Nate so much that.
Well, if we're talking about an Italian mother, they do tend to be kind of, helicoptery. Yeah, like protective, overly protective.
She's not really. I mean,
No?
not overly. No, I mean, no. She's protective. She's a mom, but
She really is.
I would argue
She carries a 9mm.
I would argue my brother is more so than she is.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, Dad.
on certain things, they both have their certain things, I guess.
But also, Dad tends to give, and maybe this is probably to our detriment, but Dad tends to give the boys a little bit more rope to run with,
Yeah.
Like if it was, flip the script, if it was, his little girls, he would be, walking around with a katana on his back at all times. When it comes to the boys, he's going to step in where he has to, but I bet he's more free reign a little bit.
Maybe.
Looser with things.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
My brother's a regimented man. He plays like he's not, but he is. And he regiments him kids to that same bit a bit.
Now,
But-
this is your brother. He's a cop, right?
No. That's my brother-in-law.
My brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
This is my brother.
Okay.
He works for the government.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the thing I think is really cool now is that they're at their age where they're into scouts and the scouting right now. So my brother is a scoutmaster.
Okay.
And it's like my dad. See, and my brother do my dad stuff now. Is kind of.
Is he their scoutmaster?
Yes, he is the scoutmaster. That's how it goes.
I know, but that seems that's like when you find out like your mom is going to be the sub for the day.
Well, yes and no. It's not, because it's not just that. Because me and my brother are exact same way. Our dad was our scoutmaster, and so it was kind of, and no, that's why there's other adult leaders.
So you're saying he's raising DJs? Got it.
But it's cool. But it's just neat to see my brother in that light.
Sure.
And seeing him from that perspective, and it's kind of funny because I think. Because my brother is like me in scouting. He did a bunch of stuff. Went to World Jamborees and Eagle Scout. I mean, all the resume I have in scouting is equally as impressive. And so from his perspective now, he's a lot more experienced in scouting than a lot of the other adult leaders. So he kind of has to. Some of these guys have never even been involved in scouting, so they're kind of learning the ropes.
So he's like
of scouting.
the head go-to
right.
guy.
Well, but it's kind of funny because now that he's getting back into scouting, and he's starting to do some of the higher levels of the scouting that you generally don't seem to get more involved in the scouting. He's walking in those circles, and people are like, "Who is this guy?" And he's walking around looking like General MacArthur.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just tatted up with
right.
With,
and then they start talking. It was like, "Oh man!" And then you go look. So it's kind of you do have some history here. And
and that's the cool thing about every single one of those. Like your bars, they all tell a story.
Right.
So that's definitely something to endear yourself into with the other scoutmasters and whatnot.
But it was kind of neat to see my brother play in that perspective there too. So
kind of play fly on the wall, that whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Kind of. But overall, Christmas was good. Traveling was pretty painless. No big deal.
What's the How long does it take to fly out? Is that about 5-6 hours?
No.
Well, technically, so it takes, an hour from here to Dallas.
Okay.
And then it's about 3 hours from Dallas to DC.
That it?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's about 3
I
hours.
really do need to experience air travel because every time I'm thinking about a vacation, I'm like, oh, God, but then there's the drive and then coming back.
And you gain time.
Sure.
Because we left at 6 a.m. here, and we were in DC by about 2:30, 3 o'clock their time, and vice versa. Coming back, we left here, which is kind of nice. We left here at noon their time, and we're touching down here at 4:30, 5 o'clock, our time that evening. So you're like, wow, it didn't, even though technically you had a longer day, but time wise, you're like, oh, it's still relatively early.
And that's where the jet lag really sets in. I do got to say, the picture that you posted right when you guys were leaving, this is how I know I'm officially a grown-up. It took me a while to fight the urge, but I fought the urge to put something inappropriate in the comment section of that picture. Because what she posted was a picture of the Washington Monument with a lot of bushy trees around the Washington Monument.
Oh, no.
And it took me a good solid half a day to be like, no. Like reaching for no. But I made it through.
You behaved yourself. That
right.
was really good.
Grown up. What's up? I'm somebody's father. But yeah, that was when I saw the picture. I was like, that's.
Well, she took out pictures. We were driving to the airport that morning.
Yeah, well, we've been studying Fort McHenry and the War of 1812, that area. And we went into different monuments. And so I told my kids while I was there that I would take some pictures when I could.
Yeah, which, by the way, just for you history nerds out there, Fort McHenry is nowhere near where we were at. That's in Baltimore.
Yeah, so I couldn't take a picture of that.
But
it is in that area.
But when you do fly,
did you just actually?
Well, just because I know people. Fort McHenry's in the Baltimore.
Fair.
I'm like, let me clarify.
It's over in that general area.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, she's an educator. She's got stuff on the line here.
I'm satisfying the history nerd. Give him a second.
Yeah.
But
he ain't wrong.
But for perspective, Ronald Reagan, if you fly in and out of Reagan National, it's right in D.C. So when you come in, you see the Pentagon, you see the, D.C., you see D.C. stuff, the Washington Monument.
Oh, the back of the Lincoln Memorial.
Kind of see the Jefferson Memorial, the tidal base in that area there. So you get that view as you come in. So she's taking pictures.
And while we're waiting for our plane, you can look out the window and see the top of the Capitol.
Oh, okay. The dome there?
Pentagon.
Really cool. Nice.
All
that's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah.
Those are the cool views. Like when you're coming in aerially.
Yeah.
The Pentagon is so massive, and you don't really realize till you're taking it from an aerial view just how big that place is.
I highly recommend if you ever fly into DC and to do the visiting and sightseeing and all that. If you get an option of which airport, Ronald Reagan National is going to be your most scenic one to come in and out of. You'll see that DC, BWI is it's between Baltimore and Washington. I mean, it's very convenient to fly in and to, but you're not going to get the sights. And then Dulles is out in Virginia, out west of DC.
Sure.
Which equally, they do more international out of Dulles, so you don't fly as much into Dulles, in and out of Dulles nationally, but sometimes. But anyway, as far as view goes, Reagan National is your power.
That'd be the more scenic route to take.
Yeah. Cool. 7:21. Like I said, we're just going to chit chat this hour, so maybe I'll do some weather here and take a quick break, and we'll pause, talk, kind of cleanse the palate. We'll talk more about vacation. Had a good, lot of eating, of course.
I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where my mind goes to. It's like, cool. Had some time with family. What'd you eat?
Yeah. Well, remember, my sister-in-law is an Italian. So we went Italian.
There you go. I was going to ask. I reckon that she has a good gravy.
Yeah. Well, ain't
she cooks up a storm.
Ain't a darn thing wrong with an Italian Christmas Eve tradition.
I can imagine.
If you like eating and eating like pasta and seafood and all that, then Shangri-La.
Did she break out the Feast of the Seven Fishes?
No, not this year. We just went to a restaurant this year, but yeah, we've done that in past where it's courses. And it's like a linguine course, and then a lobster course, and then some shrimp course, and some rigatoni. And I think we ended with lasagna or something. There was pizza in there somewhere. I mean, it was just a sea of food.
However, when we did get there, she had 2 bowls with dough rising.
Oh, yeah.
And then next thing you know, she's tearing the dough and then spinning it and flipping it in the air. And then
that's kind of a tradition.
Yeah, and she made like 4 pizzas. There
was a guy playing accordion next to her. It was...
I mean, she had like...
She goes all out.
And there was just a big dish, plateful. She cut them into squares because she put them on cookie sheets.
Right.
The dough. And about this high of just different pizzas. 4 or 5 different pizzas and stromboli.
Yeah. The diet was not...
I would imagine, yeah.
She made her homemade pizza sauce.
Oh, yeah.
All that.
We didn't even eat dinner. We didn't even talk about dinner yet.
That was just the welcome.
All right, 7:23. Let's do this. Let's pause for weather. We'll take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back on the other side and chit-chat some more. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We've got a little cold front on the way. That'll cool things off a little bit on Tuesday and New Year's Day. Pretty warm today, though. We'll be in the mid-70s and sunny. Overnight, our cold front moves in. No rain with that. In fact, we'll stay clear. Our low in the mid-30s and then a lot cooler on Tuesday, mid-50s on the high. Clear and upper 20s for Tuesday night. New Year's Day will stay sunny, low 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Hey, Roswell and surrounding areas. Roswell Ford Sales is back home at our dealership at 821 North Main Street. We're closing in on our 2024 sales goals, and we'll do whatever it takes to make a deal during the year-end sales event at Roswell Ford, where you'll get huge savings, more for your trade, and rates as low as 0% APR. Shipments of new and quality pre-owned vehicles are arriving daily, so you can upgrade for less. If you're upside down in your loan or stuck in your lease, Roswell Ford wants to get you low leased, even if you owe thousands more than your trade is worth. Worried your credit is on the naughty list? Roswell Ford has partnered with the most aggressive lenders that will push to approve you today, even with bad or no credit. Plus, we have a great selection of low mileage, one-owner pre-owned vehicles, all in prime condition, starting at just $10,000. Lower prices, exceptional trade-in values, and a better buying experience. Get on board at Roswell Ford with new management and a whole new attitude. 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell, or online at roswellford.com. 0 APR for 48 months is $20.83 per thousand finance plus tax, title, and license with approved credit.
Registration for the spring semester is on now at ENMU Roswell. A great career in healthcare, arts and sciences, or technical trades is waiting for you. Now's the time to skill up and get certified. Register today for spring 2025 classes and talk with an advisor. Log on to roswell.enmu.edu. ENMU Roswell, success starts here.
Success starts here. ENMU Roswell.
This holiday season, Artesia General Hospital is here to help you stay healthy and enjoy the moments that matter most. Whether it's a routine visit or something unexpected, our caring team is here for you every step of the way, because nothing should keep you from celebrating with the ones you love. Visit artesiageneral.com to see how we can support your health and happiness. From all of us at Artesia General Hospital, happy holidays.
Now for your Pecos Valley News Update, I'm Jared Cirillo. The National UFO Historic Records Center has now opened its doors in New Mexico as a new nonprofit agency. The group's main goal, they say, will be to archive historical government documents and other forms of media on UFO encounters. The office is located on the campus of Martin Luther Elementary School in Rio Rancho. The director of the group will be David Marler. Marler says the goal of the office will be to preserve items and open them to viewing and research. An elk with a chair stuck to its head is being reported in the Ruidoso area, but authorities say the animal has been evaluated and is doing fine. The Ruidoso Police Department said Saturday night that the elk had been evaluated and, quote, is able to move around, eat, and drink, unquote. Ruidoso police even posting a message on their Facebook page because they were getting so many reports from the public. Anyone with any questions or concerns about this elk with a chair stuck to its head, you're being urged to contact the New Mexico Game and Fish Office. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo.
2025 is just a couple of days away. It's a great moment to take a breath and reflect on the past year. looking back at what you've done, where you are in life, and where you're headed. Why not take this a step further? I'm Kim Commando for NordPass. Get 58% off right now on this easy-to-use password manager at nordpass.com/Kim. Write down all your hopes and dreams in an email and send it to your future self. I did this a few years ago, and reading that email was an eye-opener. I jotted down my goals and a snapshot of my life at that moment. It's really simple to do. Services like futureme.org make it super straightforward. You choose when you want to receive your email, months or even years later. You can also do this yourself. Use Gmail, Outlook, or any other email service that allows scheduling. Type out your thoughts, schedule it for a future date, or just save a calendar reminder to revisit it. This is a great way to see how far you've come. You can always be tech ahead with my free newsletter. Sign up at getkim.com. Have you ever tried using your good old password to log into a website you haven't visited in ages and been hit with the wrong email or password message? Annoying, right? Now, what if I told you you never had to see that warning again? All you have to do is set up the NordPass Password Manager. NordPass lets you store all of your login details in an encrypted vault and auto-fills them anytime you visit a website or an app. With the NordPass Password Generator, you can also update all your passwords to be sure that they're strong and unique. It also lets you check for outdated passwords using Password Health. Store other info, like your addresses or credit card details, for easy online shopping. Doesn't that all sound so convenient? Well, I have a special NordPass deal just for you. If you go to nordpass.com, you can get 58% off your deal. That's only $1.23 per month. Once again, nordpass.com/Kim, nordpass.com/Kim.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. U-Haul is the world's largest advertiser in the Yellow Pages. Too bad millennials don't know what the Yellow Pages are. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 7:30. Happy Monday.
Half after.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Happy Monday.
Right up the
The final Monday of 2024.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, if there's anything that you needed to get done in 2024, now's the time to get started.
Yeah. I feel like today's these days where like we don't have to do anything, but you feel like I really think like I should do something, but I don't know, it's a holiday kind of still.
I think this is why the fiscal year and the calendar year end at different times.
Right.
It's like we still need you to get some stuff done before quarter 4 wraps up.
That's right.
I'd like to make a quick shout out. I have a cousin in Waco that's listening right now. Olivia, hello, good morning.
Good
Merry
morning.
Christmas.
In
Merry
Waco,
Christmas.
you said.
Hope you enjoy the show.
Yep, she's there in Waco, Texas.
Very cool, very cool.
Yep.
Home of Dr. Pepper. Yep.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And Branch Davidians.
And of course, Branch Davidians, yeah.
For those in the 90s.
Yes. Single-handedly putting Janet Reno on the map.
Oh, my goodness. That's funny.
Yeah, so good morning, Olivia. But we had a good time in Maryland or Virginia. I keep saying Maryland. Technically, we're in Virginia.
See, and that's the next thing I have to ask is whenever I go back to Oklahoma, my first goal is what don't I have access to here? Where am I going to go that I can't have access? So what were your spots?
Well, we have some, but because it's the holidays and we were there just 4 or 5 days, it really was. There wasn't a lot of restauranting that way. A couple.
We
things,
do have our spots so that we like.
Did you hit up a Wawa or something like that?
We were near one. I didn't dine in one.
Yeah.
We had now for Christmas Eve we had dinner. We had dinner at Maziano's, which is a Italian restaurant there near my brother's house.
Right.
Kind of we've had Christmas Eve dinner there a couple times. Had our tradition there. It was very nice. Matter of fact, that was the photo you saw probably on Facebook of all of us having dinner at Maziano's there.
Now, did you have somebody take that for you, or did somebody bring a selfie?
Yeah, I think they took it.
Okay,
I think the waiter.
I just like to imagine that at some point in the party, somebody's like, "All right, let's do this."
Yeah, no,
our waiter took.
Yeah, our waiter.
Dana
our
asked.
wait staff.
Yeah, Dana asked if
taking care of that for us.
My cousin just said, "Not the Branch Davidian."
Stop by the local diner and try out the David Koresh Knish. It's delicious.
One of my breakfast
there at the
places is one of my breakfast places back there is Bob Evans.
Oh, okay.
I love a Bob Evans.
Yeah, if you see the mashed potatoes or macaroni and cheese here,
You're like, you went to the freezer aisle?
Well, in actuality, they started as a sausage company. That's what they do. Is they're known for their Bob Evans sausage. If you go to, it's kind of like your Jimmy Dean's or your whatever you go to in the Mid-Atlantic area, Bob Evans, Ohio, and Mid-Atlantic area. That's a big deal. But they branched out and have Cracker Barrel-esque type restaurants. And so called Bob Evans. And if you like Cracker Barrel, you like Bob Evans. Very home style breakfasts.
Okay.
And lunches, dinners, pot roast, very down home on the farm style meals, grits and good stuff.
I will judge you based on the quality of your grits.
Yeah.
Like if you serve me some quick grits, I'm gonna stand up, ask for my check, and walk out of the place. But
you want a good farmer's breakfast or farmer's meal? That's Bob Evans.
Nice. That sounds fantastic.
So that's one we try to get. We did not because again it's Christmas.
Sure.
And to be honest, there's so much food that it was really I feel bad because my brother and them, it's just 4 of them, 2 boys and them 2, and we had leftovers from Christmas Eve, leftovers from Christmas, leftovers from just leftovers, and it's just so much food. I was like, and it's funny because all of us are on various things to suppress things. And so no one's hungry.
Everybody's various. Everyone's various semi-glutides are kicking.
I have a brother and they're both doing stuff similar. It's just like, oh, right. This is
You're all comparing notes. You're like, so I'm doing the Ozempic. How about you? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, those are fun.
But prime rib dinner, for Christmas. I mean, we went all out. One thing we, as far as food like that was, I guess you could say, chain new that we never did was. We did venture to a Costco.
Oh.
To go...
get you a double chunk chocolate cookie. See, they don't get the reference.
I did. Okay. I know the reference.
Okay.
But I did have?
What?
A chicken bake.
Oh, I got that chicken bake. Boom. Endearing ourselves to the Gen Z audience.
And so, yes, we did have the chicken bake.
Nice. I've heard good things.
It's meh.
Really?
It's a meh.
Well, I mean, if you're comparing it to like restaurant quality, but if you're going to a place where you're buying a 60-pack of waters, how's the food?
I mean, it doesn't taste bad. It's just
like if I compared an Allsup's burrito to one from like Burrito Express, there's going to be a difference.
I was way happier with the cup of soft serve chocolate ice cream.
I see.
And I thought it was nasty.
Really?
Yeah.
My brother said the hot dogs and pizza are way better.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be next time we try.
Well, that's just basically.
Can't
Sam's
ruin
Club
a hot
food.
dog, basically.
Oh, but you can.
But you can.
See,
okay.
I had this story about a week ago. There were Sam's Club. They tested this at 3 different Sam's Clubs throughout the last month. They had these things. They had basically their Sam's Club hot dogs, and they were calling them holiday dogs or holidogs. And one they had it had turkey on one side, and I believe like ham or like stuffing or something on the other.
Yeah.
Which that sounds all right. But then there was one with pumpkin pie on one side and like cranberry sauce and stuffing on the other. I'm like, so yes, you can ruin a hot dog, turns out.
Well, and he said, Chris, he goes, they're the footlongs. Hang over the bun. These are good ones. So next time I go to Costco,
okay,
I'm going to steer clear of the chicken bake and go towards the pizza / hot dog.
Chicken bake. That was the one. That was the word I couldn't think of the other day. I was trying to describe what they were. I'm like chicken stackers, chicken wrap,
chicken
bakes.
Yeah, that's what they call
the reference. By the way, for those like Kim, who was giving me an odd look.
Yeah. Oh, I showed her the video.
So you know the Costco guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Costco family.
The Costco family.
Yeah.
Featuring the Rizzler.
Yeah. Go on Twitter or TikTok or whatever, or just get online and say Costco family. You watch the videos, you'll scratch their head and say, why is this a thing? And then move on about your day.
Yep. That's right up there with endearing yourself to your nephews by, referencing Roblox. It's one of those, if you can just get a base understanding for their stuff, they'll appreciate you for it. You know?
Exactly.
They're like, all right, he did the work.
He put in enough effort to say. However, we were walking around the Costco and exploring as one does, because, I love exploring and sampling and trying all the things. And I saw something that screamed this show to try. I don't have to try it today. I don't want to try it today.
Okay.
But I do have it.
Okay.
It really does.
I'm genuinely. Shut up. Quail eggs.
Ready to eat.
Oh, yeah, well, of course. Straight out of the bag. They're stewed and salt baked. This is enlarged to show. Thanks for clearing that up. Oh, my God. Our quail eggs are boiled fresh and conveniently peeled, marinated in brewed soy sauces, then baked for flavors to be sealed. That actually doesn't sound bad.
This is like, this is either really disgusting or really not bad.
The stewed egg is slightly sweet.
And I got the 54 pack, so we can all try it.
Oh, sure. And there's two different kinds. There's the
it's a Costco.
There's the stewed egg, and then there's one that's salt baked. And it says that one's a little bit salty, but don't fear, it's very yummy to eat.
Okay.
Now, these are processed.
I'm not ready to do that today, but
No.
maybe this week.
Just so we're clear, contains egg.
Oh, is it?
It contains egg and soy.
I didn't know that. To rethink.
Yeah. Now let's see. These were processed. I'm just trying to see if these were processed here in America. I mean, I'm sure they were.
I don't know. It's an Asian product.
Well, sure. Product of China. Okay. 401. Yeah. So it comes from China, but they were processed here in the States.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they had a whole pile of these things, and then I was Diddy bopping around.
Oh, did they? I'm sure. Were they on clearance? Which, by the way, this is one of the funniest things. One of the funniest.
Stewed and salt baked. Yeah, well, that means we'll have to try one of each.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and they look like little shooters too. You just like
you kind of see them in the back little clear window here.
I'm curious if they're soft boiled, hard boiled. Like, how's the yolk situation? Because if it's got like a jammy yolk, that's gonna get in my head.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've even ever had a quail egg.
I don't know.
Itself.
Kim says she's had, and years ago, and it was
I
disgusting.
had at a Brazilian restaurant in Albuquerque.
Hmm.
Yeah, at the salad bar they had quail eggs. I went ahead and got one.
Well, you had salad bar quail eggs there. I mean,
you didn't have vacuum sealed from
Wow.
Costco quail
they were
eggs.
just sitting out there in the open. People were breathing
Still
on them.
a
Tasha
quail
didn't-
egg, but it was nasty.
Oh,
it was so gross.
That's fun. That's
I love
something-
that these come from the snack yard.
Yeah. It's the less popular end of the snack yard.
Now, don't eggs have to be refrigerated and kept cold? That's the thing that concerns me there.
No.
They do not.
Only if they have been pasteurized. Fun fact, if you're eating farm eggs, you don't have to refrigerate them.
Okay.
I mean, you should.
By the way,
but you don't have to.
A serving size is 7 eggs.
Wow. So, get your fill.
Oh, my gosh.
Look like they're individually wrapped, though, for your pleasure.
Oh, fun. Yeah, because you don't want the freshness of one to.
Well, you don't want your stew bumping up with your salt bake.
So, have you ever seen, or would you be up to trying, if we're going down the egg route, a century egg?
What is a century egg? I do not know.
Essentially, they take, and it's from what I've gathered, they take it's either a duck or a chicken egg. I think it's duck.
Okay.
And they bury it in salt, salt and sand.
Okay.
For I think it's like a couple of months.
Wow.
Yeah, and it ferments.
Okay.
And it's an Asian delicacy. I know for a fact
it's
they
like
have
Korean kimchi where they bury things.
I'm going to talk to Nook and see if I can have her bring us one next time she comes in, because I'm pretty sure they sell them there.
Okay. I figured the way the process sounds like it might be a delicacy.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it very much is. And I'll pay for it. But
I think we will all pay for it.
Oh, we very much will. I don't want her to be out century egg money, but
I got a feel we're all going to be paying that day. In theory, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But an egg that was buried in the dirt and sand for a month, that's gotta have a smell.
I know. It's got you.
It's gotta have a smell.
It's got you salivating. I can understand. Oh, it's bound to have a smell for sure.
I mean, this is gonna be fun.
It's right up there with I'd like to eventually at some point in my life try surströmming, but I need to do it in an open air environment.
But but later this week we'll work on the quail eggs. Something
maybe that's how we welcome in the new year.
Ring in the new year.
That's right. Quail eggs in hand.
That's right.
Toast at midnight.
It's got to be luckier and black eyed peas, right?
Those are black eyed eggs.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, How was your Christmas stuff?
All in all, it was pretty good. It was a lay-low kind of week. The kids were at mom's for the Christmas. I took them over on Christmas Eve, and they stayed Christmas Eve night and had Christmas morning over there. I came by around 10 o'clock or so, and brought my presents, which that was a fun experience in and of itself. I learned a valuable lesson this year, and that is, after the age of, say, around 39, you're going to need to wrap your kids' presents at a table. You don't get down on the floor to wrap those presents anymore.
Yeah, not if you plan on getting up.
Nope. I barely made it here today. That's how down I was. I'm like, oh, I'm here now. I guess I just live here on the floor.
You should just keep a thing of ibuprofen in your pocket.
Something. I'm really glad I live alone.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way, because my cat's not going to judge me for how I stand up, but I was trying to find any surface to lift myself to a standing position, but yeah, all in all, it was good. Kids were happy. It was funny. My son got a lot of nostalgic presents this year. He got a Light Bright, which I
saw that in the thing. Yeah. I didn't know they still had those. Yeah.
And it's the classic one too. It's same thing with the pegs, and it's got the stencils and all that.
Did he come with copious amounts of sketches?
Several, yeah. He did the dinosaur. Him and his mom did the dinosaur. But he also got, and this feels like a cruel gift to get a 6-year-old. He got the game Perfection.
Wow, with the
put the pieces into the slot,
yeah.
make the right. This game, for those who don't know, the game Perfection,
that creates a lot of angst.
Is literally the reason for most children's anxiety growing up. Because you're on this timer. It's this really loud minute timer, and it just goes. Yep. The whole time you're just trying to fit, and there's 20 shapes.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone complete it.
They did it. Yeah, they did it. Him and his mom did it.
2 people.
Okay, it was 2 people. What if it was a 6-year-old, all right?
Still.
That's got to count for
That's 4
something.
hands. That's 4 hands.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
2 are very tiny. They can put them in there really easy.
But there's a lot that goes into that, because not only is that, finding the shape, but the orientation of the shape, and all of this happening with that sound, and you're just waiting for it just to fling the pieces up, because you're not looking at the timer.
Right.
You're very focused on,
Well, that thing's very loud and very distracting.
But they did it, and they were so proud of themselves. I'm like, push the button quick! And finally they pushed it, and I'm like, oh, thank God. It was like they disarmed a bomb. I'm like, oh my God, we live to see another day.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that game. I played it once or twice, and I was done with
that game and I feel like most kids' games were designed to give them anxiety, because you got Perfection, Operation, Mousetrap. Remember the game Mousetrap?
Now, Mousetrap was fun.
Mousetrap was fun, but the anxiety came in. I'm going to get all the way to the end of the Rube Goldberg, and that cage isn't going to come down because something kinked up.
But to me, that was fun.
That was the anxiety.
To create. I was just like, I just want to build the cage and make the guy, I want to make the dude dive into the bucket, so make the thing come down. Yeah.
Because, I watched several of these where it was just like the ball didn't go out of the bathtub. And so they were like, well, does this still count as a catch, or do we get the points back?
Was it the ball comes through the bathtub?
It goes into the bathtub. There's a hole there, and it drops down to this
diving board, right?
Yeah, the diving board where the guy goes into
the bucket.
The bucket, and that drops the cage.
Yeah.
Painting that visual for you.
but here's the problem. Where does the Light Bright be kept at? Your house or your wife's house?
It's floating.
Because
he uses it as his nightlight, because it's got an auto off on it.
Because almost to the level of Lego foot danger is Light Bright peg danger.
Which is why he will bring a completed set. I'm pretty sure, I haven't looked into it, I think it has a drawer for the pegs. And he's usually pretty good about keeping things together in sets. Yeah. A lot better than Rhiannon ever was. So he's pretty good about keeping things like that together. But for the most part, he's had it completed in his dinosaur. And since it's got the auto off, he's been using it as his nightlight.
Nice.
So he'll turn it on, go to sleep, and it'll go off before the end of the night. He's weirdly power conscious too.
And then he can transfer the light bulb to the Easy Bake Oven and get that chocolate cake going.
There you go. But all in all, kids were happy. I spent some time with the chosen family, the friends group. They all kind of came together, and we had like a Christmas brunchin'.
Oh, cool.
Nice, quite nice.
Just a gathering. Someone's
lots and lots of food. Yeah.
Everyone bring a covered dish.
Now we
Sean
usually
with his Jello mold.
and that's the funny thing about having a Misty in your group is a really handy thing to have because she'll put a Facebook page together and she says, okay, now what are you bringing? And then she puts a sheet together and says, this is what everybody's going to bring.
Sean always brings napkins.
No, I'm usually the ice guy.
Oh, ice.
Yeah, ice and drinks.
I got promoted to ice.
Ice and drinks.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I might have gotten demoted from drinks last time because they're like, did you bring the Sprites? I'm like, oh, I thought I was, what was it? I thought I was sour cream. So it was a miscommunication this last time, but yeah, all in all, it was a good time.
Nice. Oh, by the way, speaking of drinks, Kim and I had the 7-Up Shirley Temple.
See, okay, I have not been able to track down.
We had the 0 one, of course.
Well, yeah, I've been able to track down a 12-pack of that. They keep saying it's at the Walmart, but I've not seen it.
Is that where we got ours at Walmart? Yeah, we found ours at Walmart, but it was there.
And thoughts?
I like it. It don't taste like a Shirley Temple.
It does not at all.
It's really
but you're basing this on a 0 sugar drink. When you have an actual Shirley Temple, you got to remember this is full sugar grenadine that you're having inside of it.
But what it really is a cherry and pomegranate 7-Up is what it is.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't taste like a Shirley Temple.
It really doesn't.
But it tastes good. I drank it.
Cherry 7-Up tastes more like Shirley Temple.
And I love a good cherry 7-Up. I'm so glad that they fixed cherry 7-Up
which we have in our fridge right now.
Before it was they were trying for the healthy thing. It was like cherry 7-Up plus antioxidants, and it's like it's fine. It's just not the same. They went back to the original formula and
back to the
they nailed it.
But,
never had it. Ha ha ha.
Never will. One other restaurant we did check out that and this is so my cousin and her husband. He manages a restaurant. It's a chain, which I didn't hear of, but there is one in Lubbock, and it's called Newks, and it's spelled Newks.
Newks. N-E-W-K.
Yeah, and it's kind of think of it as a slightly nicer McAllister's.
Okay.
Maybe.
Panera.
Yeah, like a Panera. Maybe Panera-like.
Gotcha.
Panera-like.
Okay, so like soup sandwiches, salad, stuff like
we
that.
had a meal there, and it was good. They had a nice lobster bisque. And I had me a shrimp po' boy.
That was my next
tasty.
question. Is going back home, did you indulge?
Did you indulge in the crab? I had a little crab. It's not crab season.
Mm-hmm.
But I had some seafood. I had a copious amounts of shrimp and scallops, and I think there was some crab.
I heard you say po' boy in there.
Yes,
that's what you had at Newks.
Yeah, I had a shrimp po' boy.
That sounds. Any kind of sandwich that you describe as the po' boy. You just know you're getting
and here's the thing
a healthy
that
portion.
threw me off, which I really liked. Their shrimp was grilled and not fried.
Really? On a po' boy?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
It was different.
Sure.
It was tasty, but they got one in Lubbock.
They need to know something, though. Their name is evocative of something else, because when you told me the place was called Newks, immediately I thought, oh, okay, it's one of those like take and bake places, only it's a series of microwaves. And you microwave your dish at your table. That's how I kind of pictured it. It was like, every table has its own microwave, and you pop your dish in, and it cooks it.
Yeah, because and I kept saying, and I keep thinking like Nuke LaRouche from Bull Durham. So I think it's like a dive bar,
right?
But no, it's a sandwich and soup place.
Nice.
Good, but I had some of Chris's club sandwich. It was pretty good, and you had a
French dip.
So
nice.
yeah, and she looked like, and I know they had my sisters and them had baked potato soup that they really dug. I went with bisque, the lobster bisque.
Oh, I like a good bisque. Well, as a cruise fan, one's got to imagine you're a fan of bisque.
I am. I am. I do love
Bisques
a good
and cruises tend to live in the same Venn diagram.
I love a good bisque. But yeah, overall it was.
Nice.
But they do have one in Lubbock to check out.
Okay.
So I'll go. And one thing, and I know this is simple, but it impressed me. Weirdly enough, was so at the end there, my I guess cousin's husband, Rodney. I'll just call him my Rodney. My Rodney.
My Rod.
My Rodney.
Can we just shorten it? Can you call him your Rod?
No, Rodney started passing out like his cookies and I got a Rice Krispie treat, and I took it. I didn't eat it. It flew home with me, and I had it over the weekend at the house. And I ain't gonna lie, I think it was good. But it was like eating a Rice Krispie apple. And that's what I liked about it, because it wasn't really, it was just this hunk. And so you really couldn't just eat it like a bar. So I literally ate it like an apple. And I ain't gonna lie, eating a Rice Krispie treat like an apple is fun.
Oh, it's very satisfying. I got to imagine seeing your bite mark in it. Yeah, that's
so. I enjoyed
nice.
that.
Let's say you give yourself a quick dental exam. You're like, let's see, I'm missing a fourth bicuspid.
For just quick pick me up.
Yeah, it's always handy in a pinch. I had an experience over the holidays that let me know that as much as life around us, the world around us, is constantly in a state of change, there are some things that just always stay the same.
What's that?
So a friend of mine went to a Christmas Eve church thing. It was like, the story they
midnight mass kind of thing.
Kind of a midnight. It was the evening before, kind of go and hear the story, and they had the kids' church and all that. Well, her kid was showing me one of the bag that they gave her, because each kid got to bring home a paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious. I said, "Let me see that bag." I opened it up. In that bag was an orange, an apple, a series of festive holiday nuts like a hazelnut, a walnut, and a testament. It's the exact same bag I got 35 years ago.
That's a tradition bag right there.
It's insane. It never changed. It's the exact same. And I'm not sure if that's like a thing, like each piece represents something, but every single bag for a generation now has been exactly the same. And I grew up in Oklahoma, so this crosses state lines and different denominations. It blew my mind. It was very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's a tradition.
And then I stole her walnut. I was like, I'm going to keep this.
Yeah. Speaking of all that, because it just reminded me of it, something I found I have officially sealed the deal I do not like is those chocolate oranges.
Really? The Andrews, the taking whack oranges.
The boys got some for Christmas, and so they were eating them, and they offered them out. I was like, yeah, it's chocolate. And boy, that's disgusting.
Now, did you not expect it to be an orange flavored chocolate?
No, I did, and I think I've had it in the past. But I was eating, and I was like, I mean, once you finally get to the chocolate at the end, you're like, okay, but that initial orange is disgusting. It just tasted gross to me.
I can understand where you're coming from. I think that they've changed the formula in recent years, but
y'all can keep that chocolate.
I had one recently, and it wasn't bad. I just remember there being like some kind of like nougat or something in the middle.
Yeah, this didn't have it. It was just like solid chocolate
when I had it when I was a kid. But yeah, no, it's just solid ones now. And honestly, I enjoy them.
It tastes like they dipped chocolate in some kind of air freshener or something. That's what it tastes like to me. It's kind of gross.
They have different flavors though. You should try the chocolate raspberry.
All I've had is orange.
Orange.
So,
fair enough.
It is 7:55. I do need to get the sports update and a quick break in. So let's pause before we get you into news. We'll do your Red Apple Market Report, Chaves County Sports Update, and quick break before news.
It's time for the Chaves County Sports Report. The Roswell Coyotes boys basketball team were busy in Clovis over the past weekend at the Clovis Holiday Tournament, losing on Friday in the semifinals by a score of 91-65. That was to Volcano Vista. But Roswell bounces back to beat Melrose 69-68. You won't see that meeting very often, but Roswell does win it to move to 6-2 on the season. By the way, that was Melrose's first loss, in case you think they weren't a very good small school team. They are. Goddard, meanwhile, on Friday night takes on a smaller school as well, beating Dexter 63-40. The Rockets are 3-3 overall. And also on Friday, Hagerman knocks off Grady 57-21 in boys hoops. The Bobcats are 5-3, and Gateway Christian defeats Tatum 61-45. The Sports Report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at Roswell's Talk FM 106.5.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander. The U.S. Treasury Department may need to take extraordinary measures by as early as January 14th to prevent the United States from defaulting on its debt. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told lawmakers in a letter Friday. Yellen urged the lawmakers in the U.S. Congress to act to protect the full faith and credit of the United States. A federal appeals court has rejected Starbucks' appeal of a National Labor Relations Board finding the coffee chain illegally fired 2 Philadelphia baristas because they wanted to organize a union. The court said Starbucks lacked standing to challenge the constitutionality of the National Labor Relations Board administrative law judges. A recent survey shows small business owners are feeling more optimistic about the economy following the presidential election. The National Federation of Independent Businesses Small Business Optimism Index rose by 8 points in November to 101.7, its biggest reading since June 2021. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
Innovation, service, integrity, and knowledge. J.S. Ward and Son Insurance Agency. Auto and home, life and health, personal and commercial. Bonds too, since 1925. We have the coverage for you. Innovation, service, integrity, and knowledge. J.S. Ward and Son Insurance Agency.
Have you experienced the Valley Cafe yet? It's much more than lunch or dinner. It's an experience. Chef Anthony Noble is a nominated Chef of the Year and manager with a 4.9 out of 5 kitchen cleanliness rating and a 4.8 out of 5 most love rating. It's time for you to experience the difference that so many others already have at the Valley Cafe. Visit for lunch or dinner at 801 West Brasher, the Orange Building across from Church on the Move in Roswell. And save the Valley Cafe in your contacts. 575-755-EATS. 575-755-3287. Don't forget, we can your event too, and a portion of our proceeds go to the Dream Center in Roswell.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Turtles can breathe through their butts. We imagine you know some people who do that too, because that's where their heads reside. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 7:59. Stay tuned. Next hour, we're going to replay our interview we had with the DA's office. Diana Luce, District Attorney, and lead investigator Justin Dominguez joined us before the Christmas break there. And so I'll play that interview for you next hour. And then I figured we'd replay our interview I had with Bill Williams, Travis County Manager, in the 9 o'clock hour, kind of talking year-end stuff and all that. A few pieces of nugget there to talk about. So we'll do that next hour and then in the 9 o'clock hour as well, too. And then, of course, we'll chit-chat a little bit more. I didn't even talk about last night. Football team's going to the playoffs. I'm all happy about that. And my team's good now. And this is so weird. I don't know how to do with my hands about that, but I'm pretty happy. So, news up next. We're back.
Clyde Lewis and Ground Zero is now in Roswell on 106.5 FM. KEND Roswell.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. There have been many tributes for former President Carter, who died yesterday at the age of 100. President-elect Trump says the nation owes Mr. Carter a debt of gratitude. President Biden calls the 39th president a man of principle, faith, and humility. Mr. Carter and his wife Rosalind, the longest married presidential couple in U.S. history.
The Carters were married for more than 76 years, longer than any other presidential couple. Throughout their marriage, Jimmy and Rosalind read the Bible together aloud each night. They lived in Plains, Georgia, the tiny town where they were born and grew up.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. The damage assessment is ongoing after a powerful storm system raked the South over the weekend. The storm spun off tornadoes and left at least 4 people dead. South Korea planning safety inspections of all Boeing 737-800 aircraft as investigators try to pinpoint the cause of the weekend plane crash that killed 179 people. The BBC's Rupert Wingfield-Hayes says it's South Korea's worst aviation disaster in decades.
Many family and relatives have gathered inside the airport terminal. Temporary accommodation has been set up for them inside the terminal. They basically set up a large area of tents so the families can have privacy. They are very distressing scenes. Many people crying, wailing last night and still this morning. We now understand from Korean media, South Korean media, that there were many families on this flight. We understood that there's a family of 5 who have all died. We also saw in South Korean media a family of 8 have all perished in this flight.
2 crew members did survive. Strong year for the stock market, may be preparing to end on a sour note, at least based on what we've seen so far today. The Dow is down 678 points, while the NASDAQ Composite Index off 375. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Incumbent President Zoran Milanovic has swept most votes in the first round of a presidential election, but will have to face a runoff against a ruling party candidate to secure another 5-year term.
He's not made it to a victory without a second round, but it's a crushing win because the closest challenger secured 19% of the vote. That was Dragan Primorac, who has the support of the government and the governing HDZ party. There's been a lot of attention on Mr. Milanovic's views about NATO and the European Union, some people suggesting he's sceptical about both things. I think it's fair to say he's taking a populist stance with regard to the participation of Croatian troops in Ukraine.
The BBC's Guy Delany. Jerusalem's Hadassah Medical Center says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has undergone successful prostate surgery. His prostate removed late yesterday, said to be recovering. News and analysis at townhall.com. This year, value is the name of the game for retailers looking to boost the bottom line.
2024 has been a tough year for U.S. retail and legacy sit-down restaurant chains. Value was in vogue as shoppers and restaurant patrons shifted their behavior, shopping online and cooking at home to save money. Winners included Amazon, H&M, and Nordstrom Rack, fast casual restaurants like Chipotle and Shake Shack, and McDonald's, which drew back customers with a $5 meal deal. Losers included Starbucks, with customers weary of long lines and high prices. Stores like Macy's, Target, and Kohl's, which have been struggling to target merchandise to shoppers' discretionary income, and sellers of big-ticket items like electronics and furniture. I'm Jennifer King.
Troubled discount chain Big Lots has reached a deal that will keep hundreds of its stores open. Big Lots says it will be sold to Gordon Brothers Retail Partners, which specializes in distressed companies. Big Lots stores will then be transferred to other retailers. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2.
The deuce
of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy last week of the year / first week of the new year week.
Yes, happy Monday, happy final Monday of 2024. Yeah. Happy kickstart to every single H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt ad you've ever seen coming back to haunt you.
Yeah, they're going to be hitting you. I imagine we're going to be seeing 'tis the season for the gym memberships. So many slim, fast weight loss things. And, of course, Sarah McLaughlin. and the Shriners.
Oh, yes.
And all the other ones that make you feel really bad for 2 whole minutes.
Do you ever, like, wonder if she... I mean, she's got to know. Like, she's made an entire career off of making people sad. Like, that's got to sit in at some point, right? I mean, they're beautiful songs, but they're used for such nefarious purposes.
But you just hear songs like, I just see images of sad dogs and cats.
I can never hear "In the Arms of an Angel" without seeing a sad dog looking up at me.
Exactly, in a cage somewhere.
You know what we need to do? The best ad campaign I've ever seen for ASPCA, for any of these organizations, is one that was run in Great Britain back in the 80s. And it was just a picture of a dog. It was just a picture of, I want to say like some kind of collie. And he's just sitting there in front of like a black backdrop, and you hear it just slow pan in. And then you just hear a voiceover say, "Give us a pound." And then you see a gun come in, pointed directly point blank at the dog's head.
Gosh.
What the heck?
And the announcer says, "Or we'll have to pull the trigger." And then it goes to black. That is the greatest ad campaign I've ever seen in my entire life. They had to change it eventually. Eventually, it became a slow pan, and while somebody whistled, "How much is that doggy in the window?" That's what it became.
Okay.
But British PSAs, they go hard.
Well, you know, they do. This is the land of Monty Python and everything else. So, yeah.
So hard. There was one where these kids were just playing football in a field next to like a big power station, and one of them kicks the ball over a fence. So another one climbs up to get it, and they see this ball sitting up on top of the transistor thing, whatever. And they go, "Oh, there it is." Goes to grab it, and you just see this kid get fried, and then it shoots him off. And then again, don't play around power stations was the main message.
Well, Americans had a few that they tried to be a little more comedic with it. Like, do you remember the Got Milk one where where it's the family like in the kitchen drinking sit there and the kid and the mom's like, "Drink your milk." "I don't wanna." Or, "You don't want to be like Ed next door," or whatever the guy's name was. And they show him going to mow the lawn, and like his arm falls off.
Yeah, I do remember that one, right?
Yeah, the next thing you know, the kids are like.
Which I feel like you hired him to like sew on some fake arms or something. "We're trying to send a message to little Jimmy," but those were more like Dairy Council ads. You know what? It's the same thing with Canadian PSAs.
Yeah,
they also go real hard. Like, have you seen the? There's a series of them, but they're like, "I should have been paying attention" ads.
Yeah.
There's like one where it's a woman. She's walking through. She's like, "I'm about to be scalded to death, or I'm about to be scalded in a horrible accident. But in fairness, I should have been paying attention to the grease on the floor." And then she slips, and this giant pot of like grease pours down, and then you just see skin melting off her face as it fades to black.
Yeah.
Like,
why
though?
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, it really did. And now back to Monty Python.
That escalated.
Oh, speaking of TV, I gotta tell you, I finally took the plunge and I subscribed to Netflix.
Oh,
so
Squid Game 2, is that what
it was Squid Game. It was totally Squid Game. Which I have to make, now that Kim's here, I have to make an impassioned pitch for Squid Game, because you guys have said you haven't watched it.
We have not watched
any of it. You need to watch Squid Game. It is so good. Like there are some parts that get a little bit rough.
Squeamish?
If you're squeamish, you're gonna be oh. But it is so worth the watch, because there's the story that they're telling of like it's essentially like Hunger Games. It's the elites, the oligarchs versus the everyman who's just struggling to pay for a an insurance bill or something like that.
Sure.
And it's very good. Like, I started the second season and they haven't even, I'm only like 2 episodes deep right now. They haven't even gotten to the games yet, spoiler alert, but the stuff that's happening in build up to it is intense.
Interesting.
So check it out. And go ahead.
Is all of the second season available now, or just they doing episodic
you know what?
on them?
I think they are all available.
Okay, I didn't know how because Netflix doesn't usually do episodes. They
tend to launch it all in one. Because that's how season 1 was. They just dropped the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, in fact, all of season 2 is up. I'm only in episode 2, so I haven't looked ahead. But I will say, if you're going to do it, dubs, not subs. Because everybody's like, do you go the dub track or do you go, the subtitles? Subtitles, they say, are more accurate to what's happening, but it's not as fun of an experience. And they sort of westernize the dub voices to where it's like, you sound way whiter than you actually are.
This doesn't sound like what's the most extreme challenge MX?
A little bit, because like this dude walks in, he's clearly like Japanese or something, and he walks in, he's got this like, no man, it's all right. I'm just doing what I do. He comes in with like, but it's to be taken seriously, obviously.
I know.
But it's a really interesting
I
show
grew
to
up in the
watch.
era of the bad kung fu movies.
Mhm.
Want to fight?
Yeah.
Fight me.
And it's they do a really good job of matching the lip movements or whatever.
Yeah.
But it also results in some interesting, because they're like peanuts, and it's like that's wasabi balls. What are you talking about?
And what I loved about those movies, I think it was literally two or three people did all the voices. So you get to the one guy's like, and he's like, that's not even, no one talks like that guy.
You just described the movie Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
Well, that's proof in actual kung fu movies of the era.
That is so good. There's the guy walks up to the chosen one, walks up to somebody. He goes, "Who was that?" And the guy just finally goes, "I don't know."
That's legit how those movies were. We're going to play our interview we had with our DA, Diana Luce, and Justin Dominguez, lead investigator. So probably need to get that interview going here in just a few minutes. But I will say this. I was so happy after it was a nail biter, and they barely won, but they won, and my team is going to the playoffs.
Look at you.
Jaden Daniels is like, everyone's like, this dude's a dude, and he is the dude. I'm so happy. This is so weird. My team is like respected.
Yeah.
We're going to be hated like the Chiefs pretty soon.
I know.
Yeah.
What's that like? Jeez.
Pretty soon the refs are they're going to say we're all
Taylor Swift's going to start dating your quarterback. It's exciting.
I know. We did have a marriage proposal last night.
Oh, nice.
Right after the game, one of the Commanders players, Jeremy Reeves, who's kind of a special team stand-up for the team, literally proposed to his girlfriend right after the game. Pulled her out of the stands, and there's a social media video footage of him, and she said yes.
I was going to say before.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not ready yet.
Well, and they asked him, like, well, if we lost, I would have waited. But fortunately, they won, so he got to whip out the ring.
Oh,
and
that would have been
propose,
horrible.
so. But he did, yeah. Jeremy Reeves, congratulations. Yeah. He's an engaged man now. So, 8:14, let's get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We've got a little cold front on the way. That'll cool things off a little bit on Tuesday and New Year's Day. Pretty warm today, though. We'll be in the mid-70s and sunny. Overnight, our cold front moves in. No rain with that. In fact, we'll stay clear. Our low in the mid-30s, and then a lot cooler on Tuesday, mid-50s on the high. Clear and upper 20s for Tuesday night. New Year's Day will stay sunny, low 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently, 44 degrees here in Roswell. Sailboats. Humidity is at 43% with winds out of the northwest at 3 miles per hour currently. We do have a red flag warning for today that's going to remain in effect through 7 p.m. because they do expect the winds to kick up today, and they could see some blowing dust after 11 today. But warm, sunny, and 74 today, but winds will be blowing out of the northwest 15 to 20, gusting as high as 30 miles per hour later today. Clear tonight, overnight low of 30 with winds out of the north at around 10 miles per hour. Sunny for Tuesday with a high of 55 degrees, north winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, clear, overnight low of 28 with southeast winds at around 5 miles per hour, so probably a little chilly. Probably wanting a coat. They're going to be ringing in the new year. New Year's Day, sunny and 53 for a high. Winds will be out of the north 5 to 10. Back into the low 60s for Thursday, sunny and 63. Sunny and 62 on Friday, and then 64 for Saturday, and 63 and sunny on Sunday. All right, 16 minutes after 8 o'clock, we're going to take a 3.5-minute break. Then we're going to play our interview we had with the District Attorney's Office, Diana Luce, and Justin Dominguez. Don't go away.
You there! What are these?
My glasses, Your Highness.
They're incredible. Who made these?
The eyesight in Roswell. Or was it Hobbs? Or maybe Carlsbad.
So well crafted and stylish. So the eyesight thinks they can challenge my throne with their quality eyewear.
Actually, Your Majesty, I got 2 pair and an eye exam. It was so easy. I did it during my lunch break, and they even took my insurance.
Lunch break? Who gave you a lunch break?
Human resources, Your Majesty.
Silence! I'll get you eyesight!
The Eyesight, now accepting new patients 5 and up in Roswell, Hobbs, and Carlsbad.
3 locations?
Clearly the best in sight.
KC Light Tower is proud to partner with the Pena Project in ringing in the new year with Mark Chestnut. New Year's Eve from 6 p.m. to midnight at the Artesia Country Club. Come get drinks, food, and socialize before the concert starts at 9. In a combined effort with Royal Services LLC of Artesia, the Pena Project is here to offset some of the costs associated with the passing of a loved one. All money from this event goes towards the Pena Project, who helps cover the costs of funerals of unexpected deaths. KC Light Tower's professional mechanics are always out in the field and are Deutsch certified. KCLT is there to make sure your site is ready when you are and can certify your man lift and forklift operators on your site or on our yards. Save KCLT in your contacts. 575-308-8647. Surface rental equipment all in one place. KCLT, helping you keep America running. Proud sponsor of the Pena Project.
So your pecans aren't as big and bountiful as they used to be? Well, what would Jim Gill do?
Hi, this is Ben from Roswell Seed Company. Few people knew as much about pecans as Jim Gill. And if he were here today, he'd tell you it was time to fertilize. He'd tell you just what you need and show you how to use it. Then he'd make some joke about your neighbors making fun of your nuts.
So when there's trouble with your pecans, head for Roswell Seed Company and ask them, what would Jim Gill do?
This holiday season, Artesia General Hospital is here to help you stay healthy and enjoy the moments that matter most. Whether it's a routine visit or something unexpected, our caring team is here for you every step of the way, because nothing should keep you from celebrating with the ones you love. Visit artesiageneral.com to see how we can support your health and happiness. From all of us at Artesia General Hospital, happy holidays.
'Tis the season for Santa Bucks at Roswell Livestock and Farm Supply. Stop by and draw from Santa's bag for cash off your purchase in the clothing department. Celebrate Customer Appreciation Month for the entire month of December with 20% off everything in the clothing department. You'll save big on brands like Wrangler, Ariat, Times, Cinch, Bernay, Tasha, Polizzi, and Dear John Denim. Hats from Resistol, Stetson, American Hooey, and Twister. Also buy $50 in gift cards and take a $10 gift card for yourself. Don't miss out on these amazing deals at Roswell Livestock and Farm Supply, 1105 East 2nd. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from our family to yours.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Alaska is the only state name that can be typed on one row of keys. Go ahead and try typing the other 49 states. We'll wait. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 19 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, Diana Luce, our district attorney for the 5th Judicial District here, and lead investigator Justin Dominguez back with us this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Merry Christmas.
Yep, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Thanksgiving. It's been a little bit of everything since.
All
congratulations on, or condolences, I don't know the proper term, but on another 4 years.
No, it's congratulations. So
yeah. Well, I know your passion for the job, and it speaks volumes, because let's face it, you guys have done a great job in your office and everything, and the DA Dog program, all the stuff that's going on, and so well deserved. Another 4 years to get to doing it some more. So congratulations. And we joke about the condolences because it's not an easy job, but it is a very important job. So for you, how are things? How are you feeling? How's life? How are you feeling about everything right now?
I think things are good. We've done a lot of trials in 2024. The Supreme Court for New Mexico is really trying to clear what they consider backlogs of cases. So our district in Chaves County has done a lot of trials.
Sure. And I would imagine, court's always backlogged. There's never been like, nope, we caught up. But I'm still thinking you're still fishing out of COVID.
Yes.
I think we're still dealing with COVID delays and COVID. So probably a lot of that this year was spent getting buried out of that or unburied from that.
There's still a lot of cases from they weren't during COVID. They were after while we were dealing with the backlog that had happened. So they're looking at the age of cases and trying to move those older ones first.
Sure.
No matter if they're a less serious offense, they're just trying to
get them off the books. Get everything. And let's face it, that's how. At the end of the day, if you're committed or accused of a crime and stuff, last thing you want to do is drag it out for 10 years. You want to get it resolved as quickly as possible. At least most people do, I think. I guess depending unless you're going to spend some serious jail time, then you're like, nah, you get to it, you get to it. But, by and large, most people don't want that kind of stuff hanging over their head. So, yeah, I get it. You want to get that done, and we got to do that. I am curious, though, since we're kind of talking in that world, because even today, how you guys do court, how you guys do things, you're still being impacted from the COVID world. I mean, that there's still, and some of it's convenient logistics, but a lot of times you're doing court not even in a courtroom. You're literally sitting in an office via something or other. You know what I mean? It's a different world as being a lawyer today for you guys, right?
That's a positive that came out of COVID.
Gotcha. I said it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's different.
I think that we find it's easier to get everybody on. We always have a shortage of attorneys, whether it's prosecutors or defense attorneys. Sometimes they're attorneys from various parts of the state that are covering hearings here in Roswell or one of our other cities in the district. And also, a lot of our defendants don't have a lot of resources. And so getting to court by transportation, it's hard, but most everybody has a phone with at least Wi-Fi.
Sure. Absolutely. You're right. And I imagine the state alone saves thousands of dollars of just forget attorneys and everything else, just transporting people from jail to court, this and that. And, it's extra risk that may not be on Justin's side. They're looking at it like, well, that's one less safety risk we got to worry about,
Yes, sir.
But financially, that saves gas money. It saves labor. That saves basically instead of driving them downtown or driving them an hour to a courthouse or wherever they got to go, depending on what's going on, they literally bring them down the hall to the courthouse and the jail, and they can conduct business. And for you as attorneys, even because by and large, you don't have attorneys that have a case in Carlsbad one and then later the afternoon in Roswell. They're pretty much, but they might be like, okay, I got to be in this courtroom at 2 o'clock, in this courtroom at 4 o'clock, and then this court, and this is going long. Now you're in one room and you're like, you can just boom, boom. You know what I mean? So it really does save time and logistics there. Even for attorneys, just I got to bounce from that courtroom to this courtroom to this courtroom, and now I just do it all in one spot. So,
well, and even on the contrary, I think in our area, our communities are so close-knit that we'll have what you consider conflict cases where an attorney from Hobbs will have to cover a case in Artesia or like an Eddy County attorney will have to cover a case in Chavez County because there's some type of a conflict because of the communities or the ties therein. So there are cases or instances where we would have to have an attorney from another county cover a case in another county. So being virtual, as long as they're not mandated to be in person, it becomes more efficient to be able to conduct those virtually.
I really like it because it really is a win-win for everybody. But is there drawbacks though? Because when it comes to signing things and documents and or the electronic world make pretty seamless with that too now.
Yeah, no, I think what the financial industry created a digital electronic world long before law did.
Gotcha. So you just get to take advantage of it.
We can e-sign. Everything can be a PDF. It can come to you in email. You can sign things from your phone if you need to. So really and truly, that is more efficient than trying to track down where did that piece of paper go.
Is there still things that we need to work on, like on the legislative side of it, to where, because I imagine there's things that you cannot access because of maybe an archaic law or something that isn't thinking about modern times and modern technologies. Is there a lot of that kind of, and what I'm trying to say is like maybe a piece of evidence or something that we all know is but because the law states something is done as a certain way, kind of like for instance, the baby safety locker issue. Some cities are having issue because the state law is saying something like you can't put a baby in a box. You have to hand them to a physical person. So city ordinances or stuff are changing. Okay, no, we can make the box acceptable. Stuff like that. Are you dealing with issues from the legislative side, maybe in technology like that, where it's like, we all know this is the right thing, but because the way the law is written, it's really hampering us from doing the technology side of it?
The only thing that we really see is really it's the constitutional protections that require confrontation in person. And our Supreme Court really hasn't found a way, other than if all sides agree.
Gotcha.
To let like expert witnesses testify virtually. Now, we can always agree. The state can agree.
Sure.
But defense doesn't. The defendant's rights are to have the person there in person to confront them. And so we've agreed to have experts for the defense testify by video in jury trial. But we're not allowed to do the reciprocal.
Sure. And kind of another thing that's kind of maybe a future problem that not just here in Roswell, but every single court in the land's going to have to deal with is as technology advances and all this AI and all this other things come into play, what's considered evidence and how it's considered evidence is going to have to be addressed and looked at here, and things like that, because as we get, it's not going to get worse. It's going to get better, this technology.
Well, and I think on the law enforcement side, as far as our agencies are concerned, we're seeing programs coming out now where they're able to take your cameras, our body-worn cameras, and automatically download the footage from an incident, and then AI will come in, view that incident, and automatically type up or generate a report for the officer based upon that incident. So now then we have to start looking at, can an officer testify to what artificial intelligence is writing in that report because they didn't specifically write it? And then are they reviewing that report to be able to affirm or swear or affirm that those are the incidents that took place? You know, so and then also,
so it's good and bad, because ideally, in theory, that sounds like an amazing tool for law enforcement to have, because I know you guys love doing reports. But
well, and you know what's what? I don't mind them.
But
there's a lot of guys that
could
do.
Really streamline that process for you, because I'm sure especially depending on a shift, an officer might have to do that times 10, depending on what kind of night they had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I could see the benefit there, but at the same time, there's a lot of things we got to be careful about on this other side.
And I'm a little crazy because I enjoy writing. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Probably why you're in the DA's office doing what you're doing.
But and then also compound with that with what you were talking about legislation and technology and stuff, is there's still state statute that mandates you have to have your insurance card with you in person, or you have to have your driver's license with you on your person. It's on your cell phone. Your insurance agency will email you a copy of your insurance card, or you can have your when you apply for a driver's license, they'll send you your temporary license on your phone until you get it, or in your email until you get it, the paper copy.
The state does when you get your registration.
And so officers have to use discretion, upon a vehicle stop, and they show you your insurance. Technically, can you receive a citation because you don't have the physical copy? Well, by statute you can, but then as an officer using your discretion, if you see that it's valid, what are you going to do? Just because you can, does that mean you should?
Unless you just want to be a real jerk that day. Why would you really, ideally you could tell they're being legit, they're legit, they're trying to be within the law.
So there are differences, archaic if you want to call it that, and not moving forward with times or whatever you want to call it, but there are differences.
I'm just wondering because we always hear, like, especially it's fun if you're on the internet, archaic laws, and it's like, did you know in so-and-so Oklahoma, if you walk your horse down the left side, you go to jail, stuff like that.
Sure.
I'm just wondering how many of those laws are going to come up from this, or we're going to need to address some of that, because these laws are technically not protecting us against some of the new things that are out there.
Sure.
Or by vice versa, giving you guys the tools to do what you can do to prosecute cases and all that stuff, and what can be used and what can't be used, and stuff like that. So it's always been, this is not something new, because you guys got constantly involved. Now, thanks to social media, that really was a tool, believe it or not, to make law enforcement's job a lot easier.
It's like ring cameras, video surveillance cameras at your door of your house.
People will out themselves if you give them the opportunity.
Those have helped law enforcement tremendously. And the technology of those is great.
Sure.
It's right there on their phone, and officers can record it off their body cam, and they know what happened.
Just because of your experience and stuff, you've kind of, practiced law and seen before these things were commonplace. have you seen the evolution of it being accepted? Like, was it like when early some of this stuff was it hard to get this accepted as evidence in court, and as it's gotten better, or was it pretty accepted? As we've evolved, like, have you seen like where it was difficult to get some of this to be presented, and as now technology is better, it's just commonplace? I mean, did you see that evolution?
I think we saw us struggling to get courts to allow it in because certain defense counsel would object to it.
Sure.
And
any defense counsel where they're sold, they're going to do whatever they can to. That's what they do. Yeah.
And then over time, I think maybe just the change in who the people are and the change in judges, different generations of people.
Now that a judge might themselves have a Facebook account or
they have their own camera, doorbell,
TikTok video,
right?
or whatever. Yeah.
It has changed kind of the whole makeup of that, and you'll at times hear judges make comments about, well, everybody knows how this works. And so, it's kind of like, what are we doing here, right? They're the gatekeeper of what comes in, especially if it's a jury, they're the gatekeeper. And so it's the reliability. And so if they don't think, maybe the weight of it, what do you think it shows? Sure, that's, you decide. But reliability, that's a whole different question. So I really just think the passage of time and things becoming commonplace are what helped us more than any changes in statute or rules or rulings by courts.
Has it changed how your prosecutors and yourself have built cases? Like the thought process there a little bit? I mean, it's always about the evidence and everything else, but what's deemed evidence and what you're thinking, like could you see some of this stuff and said, look, I could never have built a case on this 2 years ago, but now this is a case. I mean, are you seeing some of that evolution in, like, from your side in building cases and things too?
I think it has given us better evidence. I think the only other thing that's really changed is the changes that have come about in testing of evidence.
Gotcha.
The FBI.
Yeah, DNA is a whole. Yeah, it's like, quite frankly, it's like even because most people probably cared about DNA with OJ. I mean, let's face it, that was kind of when DNA evidence and everyone with OJ, that put it in everybody's world.
Well, I think New Mexico specific, the biggest change we've seen in regards to DNA is probably Katie Sepich case out of Las Cruces.
But I guess my point was that, like, DNA back when you thought DNA is night and day difference from the 90s and OJ and all that.
It's not a day difference.
Yeah.
And all of the private companies that came about that started collecting your DNA because you wanted to know about your own history, right? Who
23s
you are,
and B's and all that. Yeah.
That changed the makeup of things for prosecutors and law enforcement.
Interesting. I never thought of that.
The FBI worked on testing, having the ability after a bullet goes into a gun and it's fired. Before, you could never test for DNA at that point. They're like, oh, it's all destroyed.
Wow.
They worked on testing to develop a means to test. It didn't mean they'll always find anything, but they have a protocol that they have sanctioned, and they're now using it. And we used it in we had people that testified with that new technology in the Cahoon Park shooting in those trials.
That's sorry, I'm a little nerd on that. I know you talk about the track, but that's kind of cool.
It is.
I mean, the whole case, none of that's cool, but the fact that they're using some of this technology and they're able to do things that we would have never conceptually been able to do 10 years ago is pretty cool. And it's kind of even like when I talk with, like, when the sheriff comes in and they talk about some of the tools they have and how they can go to a murder scene or a crime scene and put these cameras down and kind of get these 3D angles and almost rebuild the scene and the case, like, right, on a computer, and they can almost anticipate through the shots and how it went this way and almost recreate this dramatization just based on filming the area and using the computers to gather the evidence and data and give you a scenario. They have that kind of technology now, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, the Faro scans are incredible.
Right.
Yeah, I know I'm getting a little, I'm just talking general.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But it's pretty cool what they can do with some of this stuff nowadays.
Absolutely.
And I imagine those are valuable tools for your attorneys when they get into the courtroom and it's really hard to, when you got the science and everything pointing right here, it's like, look, okay, there might be like a 1/10% chance this thing's wrong, but it's not.
Well, it's corroboration, right? And that's what our cases are really built on. I mean, we used to have to depend on, they took photographs and there were witness statements.
People's memories.
Right. And maybe they, had some DNA or maybe they had some ballistics if it's a shooting. But now with all the capabilities of testing and then different video surveillance that are out there, or like say doorbell cameras, what we have for corroboration now is it's so different. It makes our cases better.
Well, and it's because you look at because a lot of this you relied on witness testimony for most of this stuff, and not people don't intentionally deceive, but let's just face it, when you're in a heat of the moment, details get lost. Things get, you're trying to, depending on the scenario, you may be trying to survive. And what color shirt that guy was wearing or how they were standing is not a detail you generally remember.
Well, and I think in a lot of those cases, it's not even about deception. It's the individual's perception, because to them, their perception is their reality, and everybody perceives things differently.
And so these technologies really, it's not that you're just saying, okay, this is what really saw, not your fly on the wall perspective of it kind of thing. So that's where now, granted, it's not the be all end all. You need this stuff along with that testimony to get, because at the end of the day, your job is beyond a reasonable doubt to prosecute someone. So using this equipment on top of those testimonies, on top of whatever other things that are equate, that's how you get a conviction. And so, but
I'm glad you said that, because it's important to always take the opportunity to educate the public when we can that in those types of trials, it is beyond a reasonable doubt, not beyond all possible doubt. That's
important. The letter of the law. That's what the prosecution is trying to achieve here, and that's why black and white is the law, but there's so much gray in there.
Right.
And that's why you have your day in court, and this is why you do this stuff, and this is why you want the best defense, and you want the defense to try to, because at the end of the day, that's what makes the judicial system better, because it's testing itself. So I know people get mad at defense, these Johnny Cochran types and all this, but they are part of the equation, that they make a better legal system, because you got to challenge these things and things to put it to the test to see if it's right. And if it passes the test, then justice was served. And that's how it works. In the big picture. I'm sure you had a few things that you wanted to cover that I just sidebarred us on technology.
Oh, no. Technology is always a good topic. I think the only other thing we would talk about is when you talk about, not necessarily archaic, but things that are not on the books that we need, is we're at the holiday season and people, there may be consumption of alcohol and people might get in a vehicle and drive, but we still don't have a means in New Mexico, if somebody's under the influence of marijuana, to do testing.
I've always been curious about that.
Yeah. Other states have developed what they call a per se, like alcohol has for the .08. New Mexico has tried to do that. Our legislators have tried, and it just doesn't ever get anywhere because they're like, oh, there's not enough science behind it. And so we legalized it. You can have it, but it doesn't mean you can still be impaired and drive.
Exactly. Don't give you a license to DUI.
So we still don't have anything for that.
Sure.
Right now it's our drug recognition expert officers who
the law
testify about
enforcement
impairment.
And they're basically doing if it talks, quacks, and like a duck, it's a duck right now. I know there's a few things in the eyes and stuff that can give them indicators, but at the end of the day, you can't do a blood test or a thing to say, yes, they were intoxicated at the time, because unfortunately, marijuana is always...
DREs are in short supply, too.
Yeah, you could have smoked marijuana 2 weeks ago, and it's still in your system, but it doesn't mean you're impaired.
Right.
And that's the rub.
And that's the rub. And so, it's just, it's a complex issue. Other states have dealt with it differently. I don't know where New Mexico is going to go with this, how soon we're going to see something. Sadly, it seems that when we make a decision to finally do something, it's when there's been a tragedy. You mentioned the baby box, right? We had to wait until tragedy started happening in this state.
Unfortunately, you don't realize it's a problem until there's the problem.
Well, I think sometimes people do recognize the problem.
Sure.
You just can't get everybody on board that you need to make something happen.
We don't worry about it until it's blown up in your face. And maybe we should worry about it. Yeah, you're right. That's human nature. Yeah, absolutely correct. But and another thing too, and this is for folks, because I'm sure there's some folks that have no knowledge of cannabis or marijuana, and they're like, well, why can't you? Weed is different than when you knew it. It ain't smoking a joint or smoking a bong, and then they don't smell like because generally speaking, back in the day, you're like, yeah, somebody in here smoking weed, you could tell. But between edibles and tinctures and the science that's going on, you could be so impaired on weed and you don't smell nothing here, because they could be vaping it, they could be eating it, they could be just putting it in their tea or whatever they're doing to it now. And and I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything else, but as far as catching someone impaired by it, it's really, really tricky to do it. And you can think you are, but to prove it, that's the rub. And so you can get arrested, we can get them off the streets, and me safe for the moment, but can we get convictions for that? That's probably where you're having the problems right now, because no, I wasn't. Yeah, it was. No, okay, you really don't have anything to say to argue that they weren't, other than the officer's testimony and what they observed and stuff. And I'm going to take a stab that defense attorneys are finding ways to work around something.
Well, like I said, quantifying it's hard, because it does stay in your system longer. And so what is the amount in your system that could make a person impaired?
Sure.
And until there is I guess maybe what we really need is a national consensus on that, so that we could then have that decision and the legislature could make a law.
And I would even argue that it's going to be trickier than people think, because the way the cannabis industry is and how the products are, there's no set standard of impairment. Like different strands of marijuana do different things to people, and they react differently depending on what they're doing. So if you see a guy that's slouched out sleeping, they may be on weed, but that equal guy that's running around bouncing off the wall, you know what I mean? Like, there's no set standard to determine that.
So it's hard. And so it doesn't mean that we don't have people driving impaired. It doesn't mean that we won't have crashes or people injured.
Sure.
But we really like to encourage people to, think about what they're consuming, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cannabis, whether it's prescription drugs.
And the holiday season's always tenfold on these types of things. Yeah.
And there's so many people that are traveling during the holidays. It just puts that volume out there, and we want people to be safe.
Absolutely. And trust me, law enforcement all over the state will be on patrol doing. They're not stupid. They know that when the holiday season hits, everything goes tenfold. The domestic violence, the drinking, the driving, the drugs, all of the above go up tenfold.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was going to piggyback off of what Diana was saying. For whatever reason, around this time of year, our domestic violence rates go up too. So, if you find yourself in a situation over the holidays where things are getting a little heated, man, step outside, take a break, go for a walk, do something else, separate yourself from that situation and just
not a proponent
take a
for
breath.
Cannabis, but if that hell calms you down, just don't drive it.
Right, yeah. Just take a break, take a step back.
I'm saying you should just say it, do that.
Well, and there are a lot of resources to call for help, for a place to go if you don't have someone. Sometimes people don't have any place to go. They don't have anyone else to call. There are resources, and what's great is they post them everywhere. So like all the restaurants have them, all the convenience stores have them, all of your, they're up in our stores like Target and Walmart. They're posted, save those numbers, memorize those numbers, whatever you need to do.
And I'm sure all of our local law enforcement, you call if they need a ride or whatever, they'll make sure, I know for folks in Eddy County, their DWI program's got a deal. They're working with law enforcement and a few other local agencies where you call and they'll come pick you up. And I'm sure there's something very similar here in Chavez County as well, too. But,
for the kind of a safe ride, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
What they exactly call all of them.
Each county has different versions
they all have
of
different
them.
names. But whether you're impaired, whether you're in a domestic violence situation, calls for somebody. Don't feel like that people don't have time or won't help you, because they will.
Absolutely. Trust me, they will. They want you to do this now than having to deal with the consequences of you not doing this.
Yeah, step away, take a breath, take a break, Figure it out. Separate yourself from that environment.
There is nothing that's going to happen over the next 2 weeks that's going to be something that you can't walk back from if you just take a moment to think for a second. I know family. There's nobody better getting you mad than your family sometimes. I get it.
And everybody's dynamic is different.
Sure.
Just take a breath.
Yeah. And I get it. Close proximity, holidays and all that. But, focus on the fun stuff. And when someone had a little too much and they walk away, just, don't drive
Please.
away.
Please.
But separate, take a chill pill, go whatever you got to do. And if need be, if it does get too bad, don't hesitate to call law enforcement, let them come in and get things right for folks and help people and all stuff. They're trained to do it. They don't like to. I tell it to a person. You walk to. I'm going to say Justin's probably going to say the same thing. Every law enforcement person I've ever talked to said, "What's the worst things?" 9 times out of 10, it's the domestic violence ones. Those are the ones they usually have. They see the worst. Those are the hardest calls for enforcement most of the time.
They're not fun. That's for sure. Yeah. Just take a breath.
Yep. So let's for your own sanity and for our law enforcement, let's do our best to kind of and let's face it, you don't want to have to deal with Diana down the road here, and you're gonna eventually if you keep doing this. You don't want to deal with Diana in a good way when she's coming with the dogs and hanging out with you.
That's
doing
right.
the fun
That's
stuff.
right.
Not when you're looking at her on the other side of the courtroom.
You're in a bad way if you're looking at Diana on the other side of the table.
Yeah, that's true. This is true here. But for you guys right now, what's kind of is the office going? Just kind of giving the community what needs, things like that. Is there things the community could do to make your office a little easier? With DA dog stuff or anything in general that we can get the public to help out with?
Well, the DA dogs are their foundation always will accept any type of support that people want to do, volunteering, monetary donations, and right now they're spending a lot of time going with law enforcement. And they're doing a regular visit with the officers and the dispatchers, just to kind of give them that support. But obviously, it's the time of year where sadly things happen, and there's a need. But right now, I think just what I'd ask from the community is be patient that you're being asked to serve jury duty. If you have any jury duty left through the end of the year, we apologize, but the courts count their cases by year end.
Okay.
And so they're trying to close out the calendar year, it's not the fiscal year closing out.
The jury trials are dragged, so they're trying to get all the stuff that they don't need jury trials for.
Right. If they can get them done and over with before the new year. So if you're called in, just thank you for your service, and but we apologize for the inconvenience, but I guess we said we have a lot of cases, and the courts are driving the ship, right? And they're counting the numbers.
But I will tell you this from past experience of serving in juries and stuff, the bailiffs and all that, they know it too, and they usually treat you nicer and give you cooler stuff, and they usually kind of trust me, you're kind of a rock star when you're a juror. They really they kiss your butt a lot. Just saying. It's not a bad gig.
Well, I'm telling you, the court staff and the bailiffs,
they do an amazing job.
They do an amazing job, and they become jurors' friends, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a one-day trial, maybe not, but we've done a lot of multiple week trials this year in Travis County.
Yeah.
And so, they become like family.
Yeah. Yeah, the bailiffs are the coolest people in the planet. If you're on the jury side and all that, you don't realize how cool. Like, you just see that person standing there with the badge just hanging out, but they're pretty cool people with it, because they're especially from the jury side, they're really the keeper of the jurors, and they're kind of the gatekeeper for them and all that kind of stuff. And they do it, and when the jury needs things, they're the ones that let them go. Hey, get them lunch, or somebody needs to go smoke a cigarette or whatever, they let them go get them do that.
Sure,
they're really nice about that. But anyway, yes, please be patient, and you're actually doing a great service to the community.
It's very important.
This is
a juror's job is very important.
I know we all joke about getting out of jury duty and all these kind of things, but at the end of the day, and to be honest, if it's kind of fun. I mean, not fun, but it's interesting. Like if you want to see how the sausage is made, you want to know how your legal system works. No better perspective than you're a juror. You really do get to see, and I mean, you don't see everything, because there's a lot of times where the lawyers are talking and you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs in a room in the other room. But you know what I mean? You get to see how the process is, why it's going on, and what's going on. And at the end of the day, you ultimately decide on the outcome of the case here. And so you get to see that side. And I'm telling you, one of the coolest, unique experiences a human being can ever have is hang out in a deliberating jury room.
Well, and it's like I always say, you got to put yourself in the perspective of that defendant too, or your family member. If you had if your family member was in an unfortunate situation and found themselves sitting as a defendant, you would definitely want someone in that juror box giving all their attention to be able to weigh the evidence of the case and figure out, one where it's very important that we have jurors that are willing and open-minded to serve that
And
position.
you know the part I liked about it, and we're running out of time, but I do want to share this with folks, is I've been on a couple cases where where I actually went to sit in the jury and had to deliberate and do the things over the years. I've 2 different courts, 2 different times, but there was a while where 3-year mark, man, I was getting popped for jury duty every day. That was a hot streak. But anyway, it's been a minute. But anyway, I probably do. But anyway,
don't say it out loud.
Oh, sorry, but it's kind of funny that the thing that I found interesting was, and these were emotional cases. There was violence involved and things like that. But the thing that I was impressed by was, because I was thinking, people are going to be like, oh man, but really, sure, people were like, yeah, that was heinous. But at the end of the day, the jurors walked in there and they're looking, all right, and we're looking at the charges and we're like, did it meet this? Did it meet this? And they were, and to a person, they were taking emotion out of it and saying, based solely on what we saw, did you see? I mean, yeah, I kind of think a thing, but was that proven? And jurors, by and large, really, really take that seriously and really listen to the judge and really put their opinions inside and say, did the prosecution meet the evidence here? And if so, we check it and they say they're guilty. And if they didn't, then we got to say they're not guilty. And I had both cases where one was one way, the other. And I was like, something was gone here, but it was not proven. The evidence was not proven. And I feel, bad that the victims probably, but at the end of the day, and this was years ago, but the evidence didn't meet it. And so I went in like, oh yeah, this is real. Yeah. But you break it down. And juries, by and large, really, really do that. Humans do that. And so, and I saw it firsthand, because I always think, people be people. But no, they do it. And I knew you guys know this, but but I saw it firsthand. Sure. So y'all should, if you get the summons, don't try to find a way to work out of it. Just bite the bullet, do it. And I think you're going to find out that you are glad you did it after this end. And you're going to be like, that was a very good experience, an educational experience for me. Sure, there's inconveniences, but at the end of the day, I mean, as an American, you're really seeing what it's like to be an American and what all aspects of being an American. And this is a very important one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good thing. Is there anything we missed? I know I got side.
No, I think we're good. We're good.
Well, thank you guys. Merry Christmas to both of you. Thank you guys for everything you do. I know both of you guys work crazy hours and you're dealing with the best of the place and the worst of it. And we do appreciate everything you guys do. And thank you for everything you do. And I will say this, when we talk about the DA Dog legislative session, blow up your legislators. The DA Dog program is one of the best things to come out as far as tools for this. This is all privately funded. The state gives zero money for this type of stuff. The state should be giving lots of money for this stuff. It should be in every DA's office in the country,
absolutely,
let alone in state of New Mexico. And so blow up your legislators. Tell them that, we got a 60-day session coming up here. Everyone's talking about all these billions. They're going, where are we going to do all this money? Let's find some things. I got some things you can do with that money.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, thank you for having us, and Merry Christmas.
Merry
and
Christmas.
I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
You do the same.
Thank you very much.
I hope I only get to see you like this and not.
That's right.
All right, 8:54. We're going to take a quick break before news.
For your Pecos Valley news update, I'm Jared Cirillo. The National UFO Historic Records Center has now opened its doors in New Mexico as a new nonprofit agency. The group's main goal, they say, will be to archive historical government documents and other forms of media on UFO encounters. The office is located on the campus of Martin Luther Elementary School in Rio Rancho. The director of the group will be David Marler. Marler says the goal of the office will be to preserve items and open them to viewing and research. An elk with a chair stuck to its head is being reported in the Ruidoso area, but authorities say the animal has been evaluated and is doing fine. The Ruidoso Police Department said Saturday night that the elk had been evaluated and, quote, is able to move around, eat, and drink, unquote. Ruidoso Police even posting a message on their Facebook page because they were getting so many reports from the public. Anyone with any questions or concerns about this elk with a chair stuck to its head, you're being urged to contact the New Mexico Game and Fish Office. You're up to date. I'm Jared Sorello.
It's time for the Chaves County Sports Report. The Roswell Coyotes boys basketball team were busy in Clovis over the past weekend at the Clovis Holiday Tournament, losing on Friday in the semifinals by a score of 91-65. That was to Volcano Vista. But Roswell bounces back to beat Melrose 69-68. You won't see that meeting very often, but Roswell does win it to move to 6-2 on the season. By the way, that was Melrose's first loss, in case you think they weren't a very good small school team. They are. Goddard, meanwhile, on Friday night takes on a smaller school as well, beating Dexter 63-40. The Rockets are 3-3 overall. And also on Friday, Hagerman knocks off Grady 57-21 in boys hoops. The Bobcats are 5-3, and Gateway Christian defeats Tatum 61-45. The Sports Report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at Roswell's Talk FM 106.5.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We've got a little cold front on the way. That'll cool things off a little bit on Tuesday and New Year's Day. Pretty warm today, though. We'll be in the mid-70s and sunny. Overnight, our cold front moves in. No rain with that. In fact, we'll stay clear. Our low in the mid-30s, and then a lot cooler on Tuesday, mid-50s on the high. Clear and upper 20s for Tuesday night. New Year's Day will stay sunny, low 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
All across America, this is the Red Apple Audio Network's Market Report.
I'm James Flippin. U.S. stocks finished lower Friday. Big names in tech, part of the sell-off as e-vehicle giant Tesla slumped, as did AI chip darling NVIDIA. Although the major averages were headed for a winning holiday week, stocks came under pressure at the end of last week as bond yields rose. On Friday, the yield on the benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury rose another 2 basis points, touching 4.603%, and some Wall Street veterans suggest there is uncertainty amongst investors as tied into potential impacts of tariffs and reduced productivity in the months to come. In economic data, November's advanced wholesale inventories estimated to be $901.6 billion. That's a 0.2% decrease from October and a 0.9% increase from November of 2023. Stocks of durable goods decreased by 0.5% in November, and pending home sales for November are due today. In company-specific news, Japan's Nippon Steel extending the closing period for their purchase of U.S. steel into next year. The company had set the deadline for the acquisition in the fourth quarter of this year, but that date moved into the first quarter of 2025. With business, I'm James Flippin.
This is the Red Apple Audio Network's Market Report. Greg Kelly here with an urgent warning. While inflation continues to kill the dollar, America's enemies have launched a final attack on that dollar. That's why thousands of Americans are shielding their savings with gold and contacting the experts at Colonial Metals Group. For a free gold guide that explains everything you need to know, go to freegoldguide.com/Kelly or call 800-655-5186 for your free gold guide and find out if you qualify for up to $7,500 in free silver.
Bill Cunningham is now in Roswell on 106.5 FM, KEND Roswell.
State funeral for former President Carter planned for Thursday, January 9th. Mr. Carter, who died yesterday in Plains, Georgia, was 100 years old. He was a little-known governor from Georgia back in 1976 when he ran for president.
As a governor and former peanut farmer, Carter began his White House bid as an underdog. He was an outspoken Baptist and connected with many Americans because of his promise not to lie following President Nixon's Watergate scandal. In 1976, he defeated then-President Ford and went on to serve a single term before losing to Ronald Reagan. While Carter's presidency was marked by double-digit inflation and a lengthy hostage crisis in Iran, many people were inspired by his post-presidential life, which included volunteer work and years of teaching Sunday school. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The strong storms and tornadoes that swept across the deep south over the weekend blamed for at least 4 deaths. One of those fatalities in North Carolina, where the State Highway Patrol says a 70-year-old victim was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He's driving probably about 40 miles an hour down the roadway, and all of a sudden that tree falls, and it falls direct. I don't even think he saw it coming. And I'm almost 100% sure he died instantly.
Federal appeals court rejecting President-elect Trump's bid for a new trial on sexual abuse allegations. A jury ordered Mr. Trump to pay $5 million to the plaintiff in the case. The president-elect has denied any wrongdoing. Mr. Trump endorsing House Speaker Mike Johnson as Johnson prepares to fight to keep his role leading congressional Republicans. Mr. Trump writes on social media that Johnson is a good, hard-working, religious man, adding that the Louisiana Republican will do the right thing and we will continue to win. The sell-off continues on Wall Street. The Dow is down 546 points, loss of more than 1%. The NASDAQ off 281. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission, $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote.
Call 800-498-2843. 800-498-2843. 800-498-2843.
They're putting the finishing touches on plans for London's famous New Year's Day parade.
Happy New Year, London! Preparations are underway for London's anticipated New Year's Day parade. The event will be headlined by singer Peter Andre and will make its way along a 2-mile route through the city's West End on January 1. 28 nationalities will be represented, with performers from Costa Rica and cheerleaders from the United States among the acts. They were busy rehearsing along the banks of the River Thames on Sunday.
I've been cheering for about 7 years, so I'm very grateful to get to come to London because I know a lot of people don't get to come here.
The London Parade is the biggest New Year's Day street event of its kind and first took place in 1987 with 2,000 performers. Nayan Kim, London.
Fire that swept a hotel in a popular tourism area in Bangkok last night, killing 3 foreigners, injuring several other people. It's under investigation. News and analysis, townhall.com. One of the premier events in the world of chess is being rocked by a controversy over apparel, of all things.
The International Chess Federation says top-ranked player Magnus Carlsen has left the World Chess Championships in New York after refusing to change out of the jeans that he wore. Federation says regulations include a dress code barring participants from wearing jeans. The Norwegian chess grandmaster did accept a $200 fine, but he refused to change his pants and quickly left New York. An official says the dress code is designed to ensure fairness for all participants. Jason Walker reporting.
A moment of silence held last night for former President Carter before the Atlanta Falcons game at the Washington Commanders. Falcons owner Arthur Blank calls Mr. Carter an international global humanitarian. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. Let's have a listen. What does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican world radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Crazy Piernos.
Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Monday. Happy pre-New Year's Eve.
Yes, Eve.
Yeah.
Winter's Eve. Actually, I think we're in winter now.
Yeah, we're full on.
It's weird. We moved into the winter season, and ever since then, it's been like 60s and 70s for the high. And it's going to be like that for today, and then a steep dip tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's like to the 50s.
Yeah. So 20 degrees is pretty steep.
Dip. But, yeah, it's not. Well, and when we went to back east, it was cold.
Yeah.
We got back. It was in the 30s, and I was feeling that one. And even, I think it got into the 40s in the week, but it was still pretty cold all week.
Yeah.
But the early part of the week was very cold.
Yeah, we had some interesting changes and dips in weather while you guys were gone, too, actually.
Yeah.
Very cold mornings. But some moderate afternoons.
We did see bald eagles, though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. My brother, he lives on the water down in Virginia there, and so he's got a little part of the river behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a couple eagles hunting, doing their thing. Matter of fact, there were some hunters, too. Right across the river, they were hunting duck that last morning we were there. And you heard them. Dog was freaking out because they had a blind out across, and you could see them out there with their decoys and doing their hunting and all that good stuff. So yeah, even though we're in the city, right? They live down, but off the water there, where you go on the road and there's the city, but there's country, right? Kind of unique area.
For some reason, I imagined, that movie. I think I want to say it's called like The Candidate or something like that with Zach Galifianakis. The meme is Zach Galifianakis. It's a slow zoom in, and his character goes. I imagine that's the bald eagle seeing a finally bald and
is that the movie with him and like Will Ferrell?
Will Ferrell,
or something?
yeah. But I see a bald eagle gazing over a finally accepting of his baldness, Mike Winters, and just going, I respect it.
Then you hear the screech.
Finally. And he flies away. And that's Mike flying away. The weirdest part.
It'd be delightful.
Yeah.
Just to fly. But yeah, it was kind of neat. It's something I did not expect to see when we were on our trip to the city.
Nobody ever expects loose eagles.
Right.
Like if I'm going to experience an eagle, it's probably going to be in a cage or enclosure somewhere.
Of course, it's nice, the traffic and all that, because you go, and of course, because the way, DC is just one of the, like my brother, he lives in Lorton, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
My sisters and them live down in Calvert County, Maryland.
Sure.
And so that's about a 2-hour haul for them to get into that area, depending on traffic and everything else. As the crow flies, it's not very far, but on the roads, and around the rivers and all that, it takes a little time.
Did you get a chance to do anything in DC proper while you were there?
Not really, no. Because of just the holidays, or spending most time just hanging out with family, so we didn't go to any like museums or go down into DC, other than to the airport and stuff. But, I mean, we've done it a bunch of times, so
I always try to, like, whenever I go to a bigger place like that, I always try to pop into a mall just to get in some prime people watching.
Well, I mean, I got to, get that busyness.
Well, you were at the airport, so you got a little bit of that
you
too.
get your fill, and then, of course, Costco's always fun. And then, of course, we were in a couple of stores throughout the thing, this and there. So we get your fill of that.
Sure.
And it's DC where you get it to a point, and you're kind of good. But yeah, sightseeing, we didn't do a lot of that. That was not really this trip. It was more just visiting and hanging out with family and doing Christmas.
It's funny, living in a tourist town, my kids pick up on certain things. Like my son has been begging me to take a picture of him with the alien in front of the McDonald's.
Really?
Because he sees other people doing it.
Right.
And he's like, that's just a thing that people do. I'm like, that's a thing that tourists
People
do,
that don't
son.
live here do. Yeah.
That's the thing that tourists do. So I'm eventually going to cave and probably do it. It's just I don't want to have that moment where I'm doing it and somebody's like, "Don't you live here?"
Yeah. Well, I've done it because you have relatives that come into town, and I know
we play tourists.
I know
yeah.
we've played
Sure,
that
yeah.
role.
If it's somebody like if I'm showing my sister and the kids around, then Hunter can have his alien picture. But it's like it just feels weird, popping down the street to the McDonald's and.
But that's how it usually works. It usually works that where you have to bring in relatives from out of town to go. That's the only time I go in the alien museum and all that stuff is when I have family in town or visitors, and we go do the things. And so we'll go and take them. Other than that, I never go into those places.
Right.
Because why would I?
Right. But so I'm trying to discourage him from wanting to do touristy things, but he picks up on stuff.
Well, if you've never done it, you got to do it at least once.
Does he though?
Yeah, at least once.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe now. See, now that he's sort of at the age of consciousness where things like that are actually he's paying attention to it. Now it would make sense.
Yeah, do museum day when they do museum day here in when they do the fall. Yeah, do museum day.
Up until this point, it hadn't been as lucrative, we'll say. But now I feel like there's some dividends to be paid for it.
Yeah,
off from it. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, because I know one thing that him and I have done at least 2-3 times with relatives is going the Alien Zone thing where you can go take your pictures sitting with the aliens barbecuing or in the jail or in the spaceship or on the motorcycle.
Yeah, that's always a fun little excursion.
Yeah,
I've gone through there a couple times.
Although that has evolved over the years, because I remember my younger days going in. It's like what weird lascivious lewd acts we can commit in these pictures.
Right.
We got some old pictures.
Now it's just evolved to let's just drop trow and sit on the outhouse toilet with the other alien and move on.
No, Mike, that's not a working toilet.
It feels good. Just relax.
Kick the pants off and just, Wow, this exhibit is real, very realistic. Is that a guy? Is that Mike Winter?
Is that a real beer over there? Can you hand me that?
These animatronics are so lifelike.
Yeah, we always do that every once a great while when you have relatives. So that's got to be done.
So I got to get some other people into town so I can take my son tourist picking.
There you go. That's where you got to get the family in town or something to do it. Of course, most of your family been there, done that, seen it all, haven't they?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Half of them lived here for about a decade.
At some point, yeah.
Speaking of aliens, I actually
met one.
Yes. In fact, he wanted me to give you this.
I was in the alien ID.
They got a card.
Yeah, it's a little Christmas present.
Is the number is the number IM1 and ICUR1 too?
Well, A Leon is his name. And I can't see because I'm blind. Yes. His abduction lane highway is 375 Earth Milky Way Galaxy. That's his address. Restrictions are XYZ. Endorsements YOU. Sounds like a dating profile. Cattle mutations. Abduction agent. He's an organ taker.
Oh, fun. An acceptor of organs.
Sex is yes. He's 3'3".
Nice.
Weightless, no hair, and eyes are black.
So you almost fit that bill.
Almost.
3'3", weightless.
I'm hardly weightless.
Dye you blue.
And it's from it's a Maryland UFO license.
Oh, sure enough, Maryland.
Huh.
Well, thank you.
That's crazy. I respect that they have those in all 50 states. So like somewhere there's like a Nebraska alien ID floating around.
Yeah, there's in Utah.
Now your goal is to collect one from all 50 states, Mike. There you go. Roy just started you a collection.
That's right. One of 50. 49 to go.
Right.
Unless they have one for Puerto Rico. And
I'm like American
Islands.
Samoa. I'm coming for you next, Maldives.
All I'm missing is the Virgin Islands.
Yep.
We got her.
See how many duplicates you can get. Oh, I got 4 aliens and 16.
I'll trade you in Ohio.
Martians.
So there's your official alien license.
West Virginia is just a regular license.
Yeah.
This is the same one.
It's just
it's just regular. It's an actual...
This is what they gave us.
I did some. We had to do. Speaking of IDs and all that, on our way back, they had us go through TSA.
Yeah.
But we went through this like private thing, and they did a free deal, and I don't know if it was any quicker, but
so was it like the TSA Plus?
Clear. It was called Clear.
They picked us out.
Yeah, they asked if we wanted to do it, and so they picked us.
You look safe.
And it was a lot of the photos and waved it. So
they scanned your eyes,
fingerprint. So we did all that.
And so is it like one of those in the future? They just wave you through?
Yeah, what it is, no. Well, it is if I buy the service.
Right.
That's just it. It's like, now you're in the thing. And then I got emails saying I can do a thing and your family plan and save time on TSA and all this. And if I got on a plane more than once every 2 years, then maybe I'd be worth that. But I don't.
Yeah.
Well.
You still had to take your shoes off and all that?
I still had to do all that. Still had to go through screening. Still had to
turn, cough, bend over.
Yeah, but
jumping jacks, the whole thing.
I don't know if we saved any time or not, to be honest. We didn't wait as many lines. We got shooting through lines, I guess, but I don't know. It wasn't that busy at the time we did it, so we kind of caught it in a lull. So, but I don't know. I guess if I traveled a lot, it'd be worth it. But to me, it was very.
Yeah,
nice.
I'd imagine if you're somebody who's like somebody who works the coasts all the time, that something like that, a service like that, would definitely be worthwhile.
Oh, and at the airport in D.C., I had my first Smash Burger.
Oh, really? From the actual Smash Burger place?
Yeah, although it was technically a Smash Breakfast Burger.
Okay.
Because it's the airport, you have to have a breakfast menu. And so it was a Smash Burger. So it was basically a Smash Burger, but they put egg and bacon and hash browns on it.
Nice. That sounds
delightful. It sounds like you're flying too close to the sun on wings of smash burgers, patties.
And I always do the move where I get it and eat it on the plane.
Oh,
that's the move.
That is quite a maneuver. Things taste different at 30,000 feet, my friend.
I'll get the bag and then I put it on, and then I get on the plane. And when she goes around,
you're also risking how your fellow plane riders are going to judge what you're eating.
Don't care.
Do you go heavy onion?
I would microwave fish on there if I could get away with it. Just to see because those people are rude.
Take your shoes off.
While you're at rude. It. People are rude on planes. They act like they own the place and stretch out and act like, I don't want to see your feet.
Are you having a curry?
So, you know what? I'm going to eat my smash burger.
Fair, that's fair. I got sent a picture of a place. There's a few locations, I guess, in Missouri or Kansas or one of those. But they're spreading, and hopefully we'll be getting one close by soon, called Small's Smash Burgers.
Are they big?
Well, it's a small chain, but their whole gimmick is that their building it consists of old shipping containers that they've converted into these kitchens, and they
call it San Diego.
Yeah, right. Pretty much, yeah. They're just old shipping containers, two stacked on top of each other.
And we get one in the area?
From what I heard, they have plans in New Mexico.
Okay.
I don't know where that means, but.
Not here. Albuquerque.
That's one of those situations where, yes, son, you can get a picture in front of the small Smash Burger sign.
I just saw the time. I got to get an interview going, so I'm running short on time. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to play an interview we had with County Manager Bill Williams. We'll do that here. But first, these words.
Hey, Roswell and surrounding areas. Roswell Ford Sales is back home at our dealership at 821 North Main Street. We're closing in on our 2024 sales goals, and we'll do whatever it takes to make a deal during the year-end sales event at Roswell Ford, where you'll get huge savings, more for your trade, and rates as low as 0% APR. Shipments of new and quality pre-owned vehicles are arriving daily, so you can upgrade for less. If you're upside down in your loan or stuck in your lease, Roswell Ford wants to get you low leased, even if you owe thousands more than your trade is worth. Worried your credit is on the naughty list? Roswell Ford has partnered with the most aggressive lenders that will push to approve you today, even with bad or no credit. Plus, we have a great selection of low mileage, one-owner pre-owned vehicles, all in prime condition, starting at just $10,000. Lower prices, exceptional trade-in values, and a better buying experience. Get on board at Roswell Ford with new management and a whole new attitude. 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell, or online at roswellford.com. 0 APR for 48 months is $20.83 per thousand finance plus tax, title, and license with approved credit.
'Tis the season to be safe. Central Valley Electric Cooperative wants to remind you to decorate safely this holiday season. Avoid getting a lump of coal this year and be sure not to cut any corners when decorating. Visit www.cvecoop.org for tips on how to decorate safely. The employees, management, and Board of Trustees at Central Valley Electric Cooperative want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Cinnabon is now open inside Schlotzsky's in Artesia, home of the ooey-gooeyest, cinnamoniest buns in the business. Try the Cinnabon Classic Roll, topped with their signature cream cheese frosting. Go mini with the Mini Bun Cinnapacks. Big flavor in Mini Bun packs of 9 or 15. Or journey to the center of the roll, the best part of the roll with even more ooey-gooey goodness. Whatever you're craving, they have exactly what you need. Oh, it's true, and it's waiting for you. Only at Cinnabon, now open inside Schlotzsky's in Artesia. Because sometimes life needs frosting.
You have a life, places to go, things to do, people to see, but it's hard to enjoy life when you have pain. You don't have to live that way. Softwave therapy from Premier Chiropractic in Roswell can help you. Softwave's cutting-edge technology is non-invasive and can help your body heal. This new technology uses therapeutic energy waves to activate the body's dormant stem cells to promote natural healing. Sessions are quick with short treatment times. Start healing today. Call Premier Chiropractic at 623-2900 or visit healthyroswell.com.
Playing dance music can help ward off mosquitoes. Now you have a reason to invite Pitbull to your next pool party. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 19 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, Chavis County Manager Bill Williams back with us. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm really happy. It's going to be so warm. Christmas here.
Right.
You're telling me you're going to Maryland where it's going to be really cold.
Yeah, y'all could maybe wear shorts on Christmas Day. Me, not so much.
No.
But yeah. So, are you ready for the Christmas holiday here? Or?
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see if I succeeded in getting appropriate gifts for my wife.
Right.
So.
Is that kind of your big? Like
Yeah.
if
Like,
I
take care of that, she takes care of
the
everything
wife
else.
got
Yes.
all the kids and grandkids and everybody covered. You got.
She
you got
knows
mom.
it's all I can do just to take care of one or two gifts without worrying about everything else. Although we did go out, I think it was Tuesday evening after work, we went out to Marshall's to get some last minute stuff. It's, oh my gosh, why did we do this? But she was very efficient. We got through it.
Good. Yeah, 'tis the season, and this weekend, exercise patience because they're all in the same boat you are, just trying to scramble to find those gifts that you've been scratching your head to figure out and get for the last month now. So, but be busy weekend here.
Yep.
So. Good deal. Well, county is, I don't know, is this a busy time of year for county commissioner? Or is this kind of that's a lot of housekeeping this time of year.
It's not real busy. I mean, January, we have a lot of housekeeping stuff. You know, we have to do the Open Meetings Act resolutions and all that kind of stuff. The thing, we have our employee longevity pins twice a year. So we do them in December and July.
So this is kind of a fun time of year.
And so,
honoring and celebrating.
You know, we had 10% of our staff who's been there 5 years or longer, all the way up to 26 years, I think.
Wow.
Janet Garcia, I think, had 26. I'm pretty sure that's right. But anyway, I mean, we keep our staff, obviously, and like I pointed out to the commissioners, it's because of their leadership, you know, from the top that people feel so at home at the county. But we honored, I think it was right at 10% of our staff for 5 years or more. We'll do the same thing in July, and we'll do the same thing then again next December. So December's not real busy. We do a mid-year budget adjustment. We have meetings with the Finance Committee in December to see how we are as far as what the budget was established and make augmentations to that as necessary. And so that's always a big part of the December meeting. And of course, this year was an election year. So along with the employee longevity stuff, we had 2 commissioners and a treasurer who are
swear them
stepping
in.
off.
And
Well, we'll be doing
swearing
this,
in here in.
Well, we're going to do it December 31st
Okay.
at 10 a.m. at the County Commission chambers. So if anyone wants to come support their local elected official.
It's usually a quiet week there, that Tuesday before New Year's and all that. So.
Yeah, and Judge Carson graciously agreed to do the swearing in for us this year. He was available and more than willing. He's just so easy to work with. We really appreciate him.
And but we're saying thank you and sending off our folks that are finished their terms of service.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good deal.
And of course, we had proclamations. We had a proclamation for Commissioner Bilberry. We had a proclamation for Commissioner Ezell, and we had a proclamation for Charlotte Goulet, Andrade Goulet, who's our retiring treasurer. She also got a retirement plaque. So it was really a pleasant day. I mean, just a real family feel. You know, it's like everybody's celebrating everybody else's good fortune, and it's a fun time.
And here's the thing too, is because you look and you say, well, that's a lot of leadership that's leaving the building here,
Yeah.
and you're not wrong,
Right.
But all those folks, they love and you're committed, and anytime I'm sure a county commissioner or anyone in the treasurer's office has a question, it's a phone call away. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
It's just
and,
like
and of
that,
course,
you know?
we're in good shape. I mean,
Yeah.
Chanel
Yeah.
Ray is our newly elected treasurer. She's been working there a while, and she's going to take the reins. And
the folks that are
just
replacing them.
move right ahead. Commissioner Wade, Commissioner Korn, they're all going to be, great additions to our team. And we're just really thankful that we have such a good team, and our staff is so great.
Well, and that's where you look at, especially when you look at, it's like certain elected positions that really are not about politics and about the skill set of what you are able to do, like clerk and treasurer.
Yeah.
Those kind of jobs. And the great thing about it is they really do kind of build from within. Like the people that like your treasurer and your clerk, they were in the office for many years learning the job before actually becoming the treasurer or the clerk.
And I think Charlotte, our treasurer, had 23 years with the county in various roles. So I mean, she's not just a one trick thing over here. This is all I know. I mean, she was very.
But in a
aware
world of
many
finance, to know how all the departments do finance is very useful
and interact. And there's a lot of a lot of value in our employees that come on and move from one department to another and just learn more and more skills. Even if there's not a full overlap, just having that understanding of how everybody else is doing, how the sausage is made, I think is the way you like to say it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then kind of going back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, again, people enjoy working there because benefits are good, the environment's good. I mean, all the recipes there where people are happy there. And so when the county does these twice a year, honoring of longevity stuff, it's always, I mean, it's 5+, and then there's a bunch of those, and then you get into 10, and every year there's always a 25+ in there. Every single time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that there were 6 or 7 20-year pins given out yesterday. It was really an amazing thing. But you gave me a perfect segue. You said, the county has good wages, and we always encourage people to keep an eye on what's going on at the county, and might find a home there for yourself.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the things that we did yesterday. We do that mid-year. We evaluate where there may be shortfalls or shortcomings. We've had some trouble at the road department, for instance, filling the Road 1 positions, because those positions, they need to be able to drive a truck. They have to have a CDL license.
Gotcha.
And we have a little bit of flexibility there. We could maybe hire them, but they have to have their license within a few months, But we work with people on that. They've got the experience.
And I imagine that's a competitive position.
Well,
a lot of people need CDLs. And
right.
So
and when you get a CDL, there are lots of milk truck drivers. There are lots of oil field truck drivers needed.
Those are, and those when it's booming, they go there. But when it's bust, then it's
right.
Yeah.
The stability of the county is one of our main points. But we do want to be competitive with our wages too. Oil field's not for everybody. Some people don't like to work 12-hour shifts, come home, sleep a few hours, and get up early and go again.
County pace is a little bit slower than the oil field pace.
Yeah, and it's steady, and it's kind of like the hare and the tortoise story.
Exactly.
Slow and steady wins the race. If you kind of look at what you get over a career working for an entity such as Chaves County versus the hit and miss and some of these other things. I'm not saying they all are that way, but certainly there's a lot of that.
And the way the road department, everything works, it's all routine. It's all like, yes, they triage emergencies and things, but there's a regular maintenance schedule. Like I'm sure we're going to start this part of the county and work around, and then we get back here and start over
Certain
again.
Time of the year, chip seal is the main thing. Other times of the year, winter when it's colder and you can't do chip seal, road maintenance and repairs are more the norm.
Sure.
And of course, solid waste and all that. But our Road 1 positions, we felt we were having trouble getting people to apply, or if they applied when we offered it to them, I can't work for that. So reevaluated that, and we decided, okay, we need to bump what they get paid. Well, you can't just bump one section on on a chart without affecting everybody else, because then it compresses it where there's really no incentive now to become a road 2, because that's only a few cents more.
It upsets the balance of the cart there.
Right.
If you get top ends and and at some point you're like, well, there's no incentive for me to, because the money's not that much better, and I'm quite frankly I'm a sweet responsibility versus pay ratio right here.
So that was one of the charts that we reevaluated over the last couple of months, and we took it to the finance committee and made sure that budget wise we could do this, and so we adjusted the chart. There were some other individual jobs throughout the county that had to be moved up and down. For one thing, there's a new law going into effect in January, so if a person if they're a salaried person, they make less, I think, than $52,864. I could be off a little bit on that dollar amount. You have to pay them overtime. Doesn't matter if they're a salaried employee, they have to get overtime now. So there are many people on our charts that were just, in a spot. And a lot of our people, they're hourly employees, they get overtime. But there are also some other positions that are salaried positions, as they should be, because they only work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And it's a very steady thing. There's no likelihood of overtime.
Right.
But they made it to where you have to pay overtime on these positions if you don't go to a certain amount. And so
that's saying anything they work over 40 hours, they get overtime.
Yeah, which is fine.
Sure.
And we do that with all our hourly positions, because fair is fair. I mean, if you're going to work 10 hours, we want to pay you for 10 hours. You're going to work 12, we want to pay you for 12. At the same time, if you have a steady 8-hour job and you work 5 minutes over today and 5 minutes less yesterday, we might be able to work that out. But but the way the new law was, we couldn't do that. So we had to augment some of those pay plans to do that. But the other one,
that's the other thing with salary, because and some, like, just for example, I'm a salaried employee, but mine's a little bit different than others. There could be, because there's days where the Monday through Friday I'm here, but then there could be Saturdays, there could be Sundays, but then
state football games.
It just varies. But then there's days here where maybe today's not an 8-hour day. I do the morning show and then sign hour till tomorrow. So you know what I mean? It all works out in the wash here.
Exactly.
But to say 40 hours this week and then I had 52 this week. Next, it's kind of, that's why I'm on a thing. I don't know how that's going to work for some cases. That might companies are going to have to do some finagling on that one.
Well, and that's exactly what we had to do. We had to figure out the best way to take care of both the employee and the county and the taxpayer. Ultimately, that's what it amounts to. When you're managing the county, you're looking out after the monies people pay in and try to make sure that you have money to fix the road. You have money to provide this service. So
absolutely.
So that was one thing. Another thing that's kind of exciting, I guess. I'm sure there's some mixed emotions on how this works, but during the election, there was an amendment to the state constitution, Amendment number 4, which allowed local elected officials to determine what the pay is for local elected officials. So rather than the state doing things, we talked about this before, the further away that those decisions are made, the less likely they are to match what you need in your actual community. And so what this amendment number 4 allowed was elected officials. Previously, the salary was set by the state. So you have a Class A county, a Class B plus, and a Class B minus counties, and they set the salary in Santa Fe and say this is the maximum that these people can make.
Okay.
Now you can be less than that, but you cannot go over that amount, is what was previously in place. The problem is the salaries were not conducive to getting experienced people to come in unless they had another means of income. For instance, the sheriff, most law enforcement sheriffs that run, they've already retired and they are allowed to double dip from retirement, and they can take a cut in pay. Currently, our sheriff makes about $30,000 less than a lieutenant could. It depends on where they're at on the chart, but a lieutenant could make as much as $30,000 more than the sheriff. And then the undersheriff or chief deputies in all of these offices, they usually make about 5% less than, that's the maximum, 5% less than the elected official. So if you're running for sheriff, you might be retired and can do that, but how are you going to draw a lieutenant up or even a sergeant up to be your undersheriff.
He has to be retired too, or she has to be retired too. Yeah,
because they can't afford to give up the money. So. What this has done is allowed us, and in the other offices, say the clerk, the treasurer, the assessor, in those offices, you have your staff, and different people make different amounts depending on the complexity of their duties. You have people that are not the elected official that are making more than the elected officials because those salaries were actually pretty low, and so it allowed each local county to determine what those salaries should be for their people. And in some counties it's been all over the place. The county's been sharing back and forth what's going on. Some counties have gone to very extreme, other counties have done virtually nothing, but it does open up the pool of people to apply. For instance, and it only applies to the people that are coming into office. Someone who's already there, you cannot give them a raise after they've been elected. They can't give themselves a raise. So anyway, the raises are basically for the new people coming in.
For an instance here, Sheriff Mike Harrington will not see it because
no, he won't. But
he'll have to physically not be sheriff anymore.
But in 2 years, we will adjust that salary and try to get it.
But say like for right now, for the next cycle, Charles East is running for sheriff. Now he would fall into that.
Yeah,
because
whoever
he's becoming the new sheriff. He's getting an upgrade.
But he's also the undersheriff now, and he cannot get a raise.
Yeah,
by
as
law.
Undersheriff he won't get the raise, but as an elected sheriff he would. So yeah, it makes sense.
So that's it. It only happens in the future when someone new comes in, and that prevents people from giving themselves a raise in a way. So,
and I think what their plan is that if Charles gets elected, he's going to have Mike his undersheriff, so that in theory he's going to start a new position too there. And that would fall under his umbrella as well.
Yeah, and we'll see how all that shakes out. But they
got to get elected. I'm just saying.
It's a good thing that local government can determine. In our community, we feel like law enforcement. We're fortunate in Chaves County. We support our law enforcement. We do not defund. In fact, we fund our law enforcement, which is one of the reasons why lieutenants make so much more than the sheriff, because over the years we've continually tried to do things to recruit good law enforcement, retain good law enforcement, and make sure that they've got the monies that they need to do it. So now we need to make sure that attracts the best of the best.
And I'm going to take a stab, and I don't know the whole, how the inner workings of the sheriff, the department is, but the sheriff and undersheriff, they're stomping out fires. As far as running the day-to-day shifts, running everything, it's usually the lieutenants that are calling the shots, assign everybody. If you want to know what's going on in the sheriff's department, the lieutenant's usually the one who knows all this information. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's why they get paid what they get. Whereas an undersheriff and the sheriff, of course, they're lightning rods, obviously, but they triage. They handle. If there's something getting let out of hand, then they come on to do their thing.
And the undersheriff, he's like the chief administrator. So I mean, his duty is to assure that all the paperwork gets done and all that kind of stuff. And he does depend on.
And then make sure the sheriff is going where the sheriff.
And the lieutenants depend on the sergeants, and the sheriff, like you say, is kind of the lightning rod in a lot of ways.
But at the end of the day, Charles, like, all right, sheriff, you're going to be here now. Now you'll be here.
Yeah, he makes the decisions, obviously, but his role is certainly different than the undersheriff, which is certainly different than the day-to-day boots on the ground, like you say, those lieutenants and sergeants.
But as far as like dealing with what the sheriff's department deals with is their job and their business. Lieutenant's the one who's kind of handling a lot of the work you think of that's police work kind of stuff.
Better get back to our agenda.
We get sidebarred real easy. Or I do anyway.
I do very easily. So we amended the Chaves County Building Code Ordinance number 60. And the reason we did that is because we are now a full-service inspection team at Chaves County. Originally, we only had building inspections. So if you needed an electrical inspection or a plumbing inspection, you had to contact the state. And that's a good program, but it does take longer. They have so many areas to cover.
It's not very streamlined or efficient.
It might take days depending on where the inspector is physically located before it can get to your area. Having it local certainly works. You make a call, we can be there more than likely this afternoon, but at the latest in the morning. It works pretty good. If you
it's within a reasonable window of time.
You drive down to the county building and you can get your permit, whereas the state, you have to send all this in, and then it might be 3-4 weeks before you get a permit. So and I'm not saying that they don't do a good job, because they do a wonderful job, but it's just a different method of getting it done.
It's a lot.
And so it's always better to have a local jurisdiction, like City of Roswell. They have a full contingent of inspectors, and they can inspect anything and everything. In the county, previously, we only had building inspectors. Then we added the electrical inspector, which made it a little bit better. But still, if you were building a house, you still had to go through the state to get your mechanical and plumbing inspections. And so finally, over a period of years, we've been building that up, and we now have a plumbing and mechanical inspector who used to work for the state. He's very, very knowledgeable. We have an electrical inspector that's retired from Excel, very, very knowledgeable. We have our new building inspector who's breaking out into this, a experienced builder. So we have a full contingent of inspectors. So if you're doing anything, be sure and get your permit from the county, and we'll have somebody out. One of the other things we did is we augmented our fee schedule. And one of the things that has been bothering me for a while, this is an agricultural community, and we certainly need to inspect agricultural buildings. But then again, we don't need to inspect them or charge a fee the same as you would for someone building a house, because that's multiple inspections. You have to check the foundation before the concrete. You got to check it after. You got to check the framing. You got to make sure all the anchor bolts are
a lot of different safety criteria in a barn versus a house.
yeah. And a hay barn, for instance, if you just do it by square footage like you do a house, it can cost $2,500 for a hay barn. And farmers build 2-3 hay barns sometimes, and that's kind of cost prohibitive.
Absolutely.
When in fact, all that the county wants to do is assure that when the wind gets up, the barn doesn't end up hitting a car as it's driving
halfway
by.
to Texas.
And so, we hope that people will call for inspections like they need to. It makes things smooth and streamlined, rather than going back later and saying, "Hey, we noticed that you built a barn," and so now there's just a nominal inspection fee. I think it's $110, something in that neighborhood. That way we can assure that, those footings are going to hold this barn down when the wind blows 70 miles an hour in the spring.
Yeah.
That's all we need to look at. We don't need to make multiple trips. The tin's on, screwed down well, it's good. And that benefits our agriculturalists to get the professionals to come out and take a look and make sure they're getting what they're paying for, what they're building is adequate if they're doing it themselves. But at the same time, it doesn't cut into their business, because that's certainly not what our goal is. Our goal is to keep the public safe, and certainly the more elaborate a structure is, electrical, plumbing, all that kind of thing, then there's a lot more requirements. There's a lot more need for the requirements. There's a lot more visits to the site, and of course you have to compensate us for that. So,
time is money. And
so we got that. We had a simple agreement between us, the Boys and Girls Club at Chaves County. They were a recipient of a grant from the legislators in Santa Fe, and we are their fiscal agent. In order to take the money and then give it to them, we have to have an agreement between us. And so it's just kind of a housekeeping thing. We have an agreement in place. We just have to make sure that it's renewed in a timely manner.
I'm sure there's a checklist of criteria they meet to qualify for the money each time, or something that you, I guess, are managing to see.
Well, when they apply for funds, we have to do all the reporting, because we're the fiscal agent. So we have to show that the money is being used for what they ask for.
Gotcha.
If it's programs for kids, then we need to assure that those programs are happening.
So there's that checks in place to make sure that's.
And they didn't use it to,
build a bar.
Build onto the building or whatever.
Right,
So we have our agreements in place, and it's just one of those things that we do before we issue the money to them. We and then we still monitor. So.
But it's all routine, just part of the process kind of thing.
Another thing we've been working on for several years is cleaning up the county. There are some areas, and every area of the county is kind of unique and different, and what flies here might not fly as well over here, but there are standards in place. There are some properties throughout the county that have gone way overboard on cleaning up. They've just got garbage. They've got cars, trucks, trailers turned upside down, and just a mess. And it brings a lot of problems to every community when that happens. And like I say, we don't go out and number 6.
Not nitpicking.
We're not nitpicking,
but when it's a clear hazardous situation going on
right.
here,
And
then we
you
need to step in.
And you end up having people move in and live in cars and all kinds of stuff that shouldn't be going on. And so when those things happen, we try to keep an eye on it. So we did a condemnation resolution. Planning and zoning, they are monitoring the worst of the worst. They try to get people to correct their issues on their own. If they won't correct them, we have no choice but to condemn and clean up. And so there were 10 properties.
And these processes, when this happens, this is not an overnight thing.
Oh, no.
This is years and years of talking and back and forth.
And legal actions.
So when it does come to these, where it gets to the end game, where you're seizing property or cleaning it up yourself and flitting them the bill on it, trust me, it's years and years of back and forth before they got to that. So people that say, well, you don't have a right, trust me, they don't want to do this either. This was last resort at that point.
No, it's as you say, it's many, many, many steps. We don't want your property. We don't seize property. Now, if we have to go in and clean it up, if we have to pay someone else to clean it up, we are going to file a lien on your property. But we have exhausted every single option before we get there. And like I say, this is 10 properties for the next year. So, I mean, it's not like we're knocking on every door and saying, you have an extra car out front. You're only allowed 2 or whatever.
Yeah,
we don't do that by any means.
No, but if you've got piles of burning tires or things that are legitimately a health issue to the community, then we need to deal with that.
You know, you've got piles of garbage and rats and things that are encroaching on the neighbors. You know, those are serious things. You have a fire hazard that could burn down a whole neighborhood. Those are serious things.
And unfortunately, the flood we just had here exposed even more, you know, like some of this, because now it started floating. You know, people's things started, and I know I heard lots of reports of some of the newly created rivers during the flood of some of the nastiness that was coming down that river, and it's the result of this people, you know, delinquent and just really doing some shady stuff out there.
Yeah. So anyway, we got that taken care of. Let's see what else we got. The 2024 applications for our road stuff. We do that every year.
'Tis the season.
In December, we do the new road hearing schedule for the following year. So at the end of this month until I think it's February 3rd, if you have a road action you need to have done, whether that's a new road request, a road maintenance status change, or a road vacation, that's the time to put in the application. Chaves County only does it once a year. It's a whole process. In May, they determine the status of the road. So if, for instance, you have a road that you want us to take over, in May they approve it, and you have from May till December, so you have a good 6 months to bring the road up to the standard that's required for the county to take it on. And so we review them once again in December to assure whether or not they met that standard or not.
And this is also the same, too, if you want to go the opposite. If you're saying, hey, the county needs to stop paying for this, we will take over. I mean, that's not as often.
Right.
But this is also that same time for that.
But yeah, and the vacations actually, if you vacate a road, say, the county doesn't even need to have any part of this.
Yeah.
If you vacate a road, it reverts back to the landowners on either side of the road. And once that vote is done in May, that's done. Then they no longer touch it. But
they
for
still got to
instance,
research on it.
If you have a road that's being maintained and you want it to be non-county maintained, the county still needs to keep the right of way, but you don't need to be coming out here every year fixing it. That happens occasionally.
Sure.
And so those are a little bit
But
different
there's a lot
things.
of studying to determine, do we need to truly vacate it or no? There is still enough business here where the county needs to keep tabs on it.
And we ended up with 2 roads that sort of carried through to December this year. So one of them, it is a new road request. Everything's in place to do it, but it did not get brought up to standard. And it's kind of a complex thing. It goes across some federal lands, and there's an oil company that's doing some stuff there. The oil company is probably going to bring it up to standard, but it didn't get done. Now, there's no harm, no foul. They just apply again next year. It doesn't put them at the end of the queue or anything else.
Sure.
It just
But if they're trying to get what they want to get done, it's going to slow that down.
And we certainly couldn't take it until it meets all the criteria. So
anytime you got multiple federal, oil company, private people and everybody else involved. Yeah, that's a lot of chiefs in one room trying to figure something out.
And so that one didn't pass, but we expect it to continue to move forward next year. They just didn't quite get all their ducks in a row before it was done. So the county would not take that on and pass that liability on to the taxpayers. That's another thing. We make sure that it's done to standard.
Sure.
So that you and I don't have to pay for a lawsuit when somebody goes off the crater at the end of the road.
Exactly. Yeah.
The other one was way in the south part of our county. It takes you longer to get there than it'll probably take you to get to Maryland.
Is this like out in the Boot Hill area?
Yeah, it's way south and west in the Boot Hills. So all the way down there was a very narrow road across a lot of BLM property, and it's a great hunting spot, is my understanding. And
probably because it's way, way out there, not a lot of people know about it.
There is a lot of rock down there, and over the years, water has washed things out, and I mean, it's just a huge problem. I mean, it was, I believe the part that we were looking at was right around 9 miles. There's 12, I think, total. Goes into the forest, Lincoln Forest in Otero County at the end of the road. So, I mean, this is a big, long stretch of road that's not something the county wants to take on a regular basis every time it rains, be down there. So we worked with the landowner, worked with the local Bureau of Land Management. We worked with Chaves County, and the federal government had some money. They put forth the money to bring that road up to standards, got in, and we made some augmentations to what we normally would consider a normal road, rather than being 20 foot wide and crowned. And they said a single lane just so people can get in and out.
Sure.
It'll keep
you want to
people
preserve the beauty and not make it look like
right. And part of the problem with a road like that, if it goes across federal lands or it goes across someone's private land, where the road is where you're allowed to travel. If the road is washed out and people need to get to the other side, what do? You drive around it. Well, that's someone's private property, and now you're affecting that. And so that's why we all have to work together on these things to assure that it's doesn't affect the private property or the federal property.
Infringe upon the rights of others.
But the county can't just go in and fix roads. I mean, we have an anti-donation clause in our state constitution. It doesn't allow us to do things unless certain parameters we're within certain parameters. So anyway, that was a win. The federal government came up with the money to fix that and get it to where the rancher can come and go as he needs to, where hunters can come and go without going out on the ranch.
But
and
preserve the pretty
will,
country without creating a big old asphalt, honking highway out there.
And it's like we were talking a minute ago, it's a non-county maintained right-of-way now, which means we don't have to go out there every year, but whenever deemed appropriate, the road superintendent can say, we need to get out there and fix that washout or blade that road before hunting season, or maybe only every 2 years or something, whatever comes out of it.
But there's some good camping area up there if you know some people.
Yeah, there'd be some good stuff. I'm sure we're running low on time.
We got about 5 minutes here.
Oh, shoot, I have all kinds of time.
We got about 5 minutes.
You and I can cover a lot of topics, or none in
or
5
none,
minutes.
Yeah, one really bad one in 5 minutes.
We asked for permission to publish for 2 public hearings next month. One of those is every odd year we have to have a public hearing regarding a potential low-income tax rebate ordinance. It's never been passed, but it's in the state law that every odd year we have to go and have a public hearing and see if it's appropriate for us to have a rebate for people with certain low tax. And kind of there are several problems with that. One is it's very subjective what low income means. There are so many parameters that could come into play, and
low is compared to what? Here, exactly.
Yeah. And so we have to have that hearing every year. It has never been passed, but we ask for permission to publish before we do a public hearing like that. Open Meetings Act requires us to publish it in the newspaper. We don't just publish, hey, you're going to have an open a hearing next month, a case. And so we get permission to do that before we do it. So we ask for permission to publish for regarding a potential low-income tax rebate ordinance. The other permission to publish we asked for, we need to look at the Indigent Healthcare Ordinance number 58 and make some minor clarifications. It's a good, solid ordinance, but one of the things we're wanting to do, currently we have a separate IHC, Indigent Healthcare meeting prior to the commission meeting once a quarter. So everybody comes at 8:30, and it literally takes 5 to 10 minutes tops to deal with all the business they have at IHC. And we could do that as a portion of the regular county commission meetings.
Sure.
Our meetings aren't hours and hours long, so we can easily do that. So that's one of the little changes we want to make, is clarify that, clean it up.
Just to streamline the
it allows us
side
to
of
do it now. It's just it'll be cleaner if we open that ordinance up and correct that, and a couple other minor things need
Just
to be changed.
Putting the boxes in line and pretty to make it look organized.
We also, like I said, we did the road hearing schedule, and that's all in place now. We asked the commission if we could terminate a lease. We have a ongoing lease that auto renews every December 31st. We can only do that for 4 years, but anyway, it was set to auto renew on December 31st, and some things changed with the tenant. We leased the building, and then we sublet it back to La Casa de Buena Salud, who provides some services there. It turned out that building is no longer the ideal place for them to do what they need to do. They said it's a little more than they need to pay. And you may or may not recall, about 6 or 8 years ago now, probably, the mental health provider in the community kind of left suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember that, yeah.
So the city and the county, the county rented this building from the owner, and the city and the county split the cost of the rent to get them in and get them established and let them get their feet on the ground and everything. Subsequently, the city stepped out of that, which left the county and the La Casa paying the rent on that, and we've continued to pay a portion of their rent for quite some time. And like I say, it came to our attention recently that they felt like that was probably a bigger lease than they needed, and so we made arrangements with the people we lease it from to terminate the lease, and of course we notified La Casa that we have to move out, and it doesn't happen it doesn't have to happen by December 31st.
Gotcha.
The contract does allow for carryover, for
Gotcha.
holdover, so
they don't have to be out by.
We've got some time.
But I'm
to
guessing
get it done.
they're on the hunt now for a new facility or place.
Yeah, well, they have some other facilities within town, so I don't know what they're
they're going to try to absorb all of it, maybe through other facilities.
I'm not real sure how they're going to move forward.
But they got a plan in place. Or working a plan for that.
And there are other mental health providers now. I've talked to other healthcare professionals in the community and said, where are we at? And they said, it's a totally different landscape than it was, say, 5 years ago. There are now additional providers that can.
The more we have, the better.
Yeah, and we all, of course, that was the county's first concern was, what is this going to do?
Yeah.
And we
how's
didn't
that going to impact services?
Right. But anyway, we worked with our partner here, and we're want to continue to work with them. We also lease some other spaces to them that the county actually owns. So La Casa de Buena Salud has a healthcare office over near the public health office on Grand Street. So public health is on Chisholm, and then Grand is the street right behind. Sure. They've got an office there. They also have a mental health care or behavioral health, I don't know the proper term, 1010 South Garden. That building is ours, and we lease it to them at a very discounted rate because of the services they provide to the community. And that works out real well because we can say, here's how many people you're treating, and we can assign a dollar value to that, and here's an amount. Here's what you provide to the community. Here's what the fair market rental, as I mentioned a minute ago, we can't, by state statute, anti-donation clause will not allow us to just give someone anything. Mm-hmm. So we have to say fair market rental of this building at 1010 is this much. You guys provide all these services, and then we assign a dollar value, and then we can reduce the rent based on what you're giving to the community. And so the two buildings that we already own that we lease to La Casa, it's a very minimal lease.
It's establishing a barter system.
Whereas this other one, I mean, it's all in. It's an expensive. It's a very nice building in a exclusive area, and it costs a lot. And then we're paying a large portion of it to help offset. System. But
I mean, they're paying for it, but they're paying for it with their services.
Yes.
It's a barter service.
Yeah,
is what it is.
And the part that they're not paying for, our taxpayers are paying for, and that's one of the reasons why
But we would be paying that for the mental health anyway.
Right.
So
it's a good business decision on their part, I think, to work towards
absolutely.
If they said it, and that's what they told me. It was a little more than they felt like they needed at this time. They were glad to get it when they got it, and it's been a real good partnership. And we will continue to work with them. But we just have to find what the next
growing
the next
and
step
moving on
forward
to the next
is.
thing here. So we're out of time. I just saw that officially here.
One last thing.
Yes.
We had to elect. This happened in 1997, and so they changed the county ordinance. It is rare that both the chairman and the vice chairman leave the county commission at the same time. It happened in 1997 when Rory McMinn and Joe Adair left, and so they wrote a portion of the ordinance number 31, which dictates how we do this. Says this is what you do. You have to elect an interim chairman that will take over December 31st until the first meeting in January when an official chairman is elected. So we did that yesterday. Dara Dana is the interim Chaves County chairman, commencing December 31st and going until our first meeting in January. At such time, they'll decide who it's going to be permanently for the year.
So another one for the history books.
Yes, that was an interesting one. Thank you, Mike.
And then Merry Christmas to you, and
to you too.
We'll see you in 2025.
Happy Festivus to the rest of us.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get your grievances ready. All right, we're going to do a quick break before news. Don't go away.
Boeing, which produced that aircraft. On Wall Street, the Dow dropping 372 points, the NASDAQ Composite down 188. More at townhall.com.
Making America great again.